Markets brings every thrilling moment straight to you. Key Food.
The champ is here. The champ is here. The champ is here. It's good. What's up with y'all? Let's get it, man. It's the most wonderful time. I love this time of the year. Pam in the chat. What up, Pam? I know I can count on Pam. You're following up with you're my guy out in Montana. How's it going, chat? Jazz got himself suspended. Yeah, we're going to talk about that. Food poisoning strikes again. My boy Benny B. Here we go. You hear that Yankee music?
The story pitching and defense. Who said a 1-0 game can't be fascinating and entertaining? Yankees, their first shutout win of the year. They won 5 in a row. They won the first 2 at Steinbrenner Field as a visiting team against the Rays. Volpe, Goldschmidt, that relay in the 7th inning, Grisham to Volpe to Cabrera. Oh, it was a thing of beauty all night. And behind our player of the game, Carlos Rodon, for the most part, presented by Collars & Co., makers of the dress collar polo. Visit collarsandco.com. For the most part, I mean, the defense for 6 innings.
All right, what should I open with first? Mets or Yanks? Yo, what up? That 12 is for Captain Clutch, Lindor. Peace, peace, peace. Let's go Yanks. Let's go Yanks. Goldie just hits and executes rundown. Yeah, his defense, dude. We're going to talk about that Yankee defense. I hit the inhaler. Just to open up the lungs, because sometimes I get on this mic and I start to that breath control, helps you breathe and helps you spit faster. Not actually spit, but spit it out faster. When you go on a run talking about some heftier guys, I hear them on the air and they start talking and they say a bunch of things. And as they're trying to finish their sentence, at the end of the sentence, they're like, so I try to hit the albuterol, you dig? I toured Syracuse today. Look at you going to Syracuse to try and be a radio guy. That's where they make those people at. Don't worry about it, Ben. You my man, bro. Ben. So just to pull the curtain back a little bit, Ben is a young guy, super talented, smart, young guy. He's got his own podcast. Diehard New York sports fan, Mets fan, Knicks fan, and he's a fan of WFAN. I got the opportunity to meet him last year, and even before I got to meet him, he was hitting me up, listened to my show, and was like, how do I work with you? And I gave him the opportunity every day to send me what's called a one sheet in our business. I don't have a consistent producer every day, but the producers of the shows in here every day make a one sheet of topics and news headlines and things going on in sports in case, things get stale and you might need to reference something or you might need to switch topics and go to something or whatever. So I gave Ben the opportunity to do that for me. He's been great. But he didn't do it today. And Ben, don't worry about it. My notes are extensive. Every day, like Friday, these are my notes for tonight. So, yeah, a Friday night vibe in the greatest city in the world, New York. I can feel it in the air. It's a little warmer out there, not so cold and windy and rainy out there. And we're on the other side of April. We're getting closer to warmer days, the summer, and what I feel like is the most wonderful time, the sports equinox. We're coming up on the Stanley Cup playoffs, the NBA playoffs, baseball actually getting to the point where it's not completely early anymore, 15, 20% of the way into the season. And I mean, we just came off of the Masters, and you know what I'm talking about. If you're a sports fan, the NFL draft is coming up. Like, it's the most wonderful time. I can feel it in the air too in the city. Just coming in tonight, the amount of people walking around, the foot traffic, people not in, parkas and not wearing big ass jackets and gloves and hats. It's like, yes, we're this close. So 888-808-1019. Keith McPherson on the Fan until 2 a.m. We are going to start with the baseball. And then, of course, we're going to get into the basketball as the Knicks are about to take the city by storm tomorrow night. But, man, we got to start with Citi Field tonight. As I'm watching the highlights right now, and as I listen to parts of the game, and I watched a lot of the game, the vibe in Citi Field tonight around a Mets team that is good. We can say that this Mets team is good. They have a good team. Coming off of last year, they're restoring the feeling of the postseason right away. You can go ahead and say that the Mets are good. They have a lot of talented players. They have players tonight that came up clutch. They can pitch, and we already know they have the guy that should have won Manager of the Year last year. You can go ahead and say, yes, the Mets, who have the second highest payroll in baseball, they're supposed to be good. They're looking like it. They're acting like it. And it's feeling like it. 888-808-1019. That game tonight, as the Mets are bouncing back, and like, what a week, right? All the talk this week about, losing to the Minnesota Twins and the generational Juan Soto, and how it's getting early late for Juan. It's not. And how Juan Soto should have never said anything about Aaron Judge and the Yankees. And, oh my, what's wrong with this guy? He's not doing the Soto shuffle. He's not doing the Mets wheels on the bus hit celebration. He doesn't look like he's got that confidence and swagger of a $765 million player, one of the best players in the game, one of the best hitters we've ever seen. There was a lot of conversation about booing him. There was a lot of conversation about who would be booing him as the Mets return home. And I didn't really hear it last night. And I listened to, Evan and Tiki, and they played it. And then it kind of got cleared up that it was a check swing. It doesn't matter. We make so much about booing players. This is New York. Everybody's getting booed. The city has a bunch of people in traffic honking. That's a boo. I get on this mic and I'm going to say some things. I'll have some jokes against the Mets, and there's going to be people on Reddit writing about Keith McPherson sucks. That's a boo. So what? People are critical. And this is the greatest city in the world and the hardest place to do anything. If I can make it there, I'll make it. Juan Soto is going to be just fine. And I tried to tell you that earlier in the week. I was like, this guy's going to come around, but I'm going to enjoy it while it lasts. And to see the vibe and the energy in Citi Field tonight, it was almost like, okay, there was some light boos, a smattering of boos. Juan Soto yesterday striking out, grounding out. But no, tonight we're going to lift this guy up. Tonight we're going to give him a standing ovation. It worked for Lindor. It's worked for other teams. Spread the word. And if you're in the ballpark, and, Evan Roberts does a great job of sending the memo out on the afternoon drive show about, police in your ballpark, your building. And it was obvious tonight, as it didn't seem like there was an open seat. Still didn't crack 40K. So going back to what I said yesterday, I mean, you Mets fans wanted to flex your opening week, your opening weekend, your opening 2 series numbers. They were great for the, Citi Field. Like, the Yankees are putting 43,000 on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday in the Bronx. Just under 40K, 39,000 in Citi Field tonight. But it looked good. It felt good. David Peterson looked good. David Peterson is a guy that you can rely on. And, I remember last night saying Griffin Canning surprised me. And I wasn't sure if it was Hefner's laboratory or what it was, because I'm like, are the Cardinals this bad? No, the Cardinals are actually one of the better hitting teams this early on in the season. And David Peterson gave up a few hits, but you know what? Guys are starting to come around. That lineup is starting to unlock. 888-808-1019. Guys like Mark Vientos, back-to-back nights with a homer. A guy like Brett Beatty, which last night when I was on the Fan, I said, look at Brett Beatty's average. Brett Beatty's been the whipping boy, right? He belongs in quadruple A. Get Brett Beatty out of here. He sucks. And then Carlos Mendoza tells you, no, we're going to keep giving him opportunities. And last night I said Brett Beatty was going to catch Juan Soto with his batting average. There was I think after there's, second or third ABs, there was a point in time where Brett Beatty's average jumped Juan Soto's, but it doesn't matter. It's a team. And Brett Beatty is starting to unlock. And you're getting contributions from guys like Luis Torrens. And on Brandon Nimmo's hoodie jersey night, Nimmo gets a knock. And Juan Soto drives a run in. Tyrone Taylor, thank you for your contributions. And last but certainly not least, and before I get there, you got to give a nod to Max Kranick. He's nice. He comes back. He goes an inning and 2/3. He's got good stuff. That kid looks legit. And he's a Mets fan today, tomorrow, forever. Ryan Stanek. Huascar Brazoban gives up the homer to Brendan Donovan, but don't worry about it. Captain Clutch. Lindor with the lettuce flowing. This guy, what else can you say about this guy? The way that he hit that home run and dropped his bat and looked at the dugout, he called game. So good for the Mets, good for the Mets fans, bouncing back from dropping the series in Minnesota. They're 13-7. They're a first-place team. The ballpark is full. The team is vibing and winning, and you can say, yes, the Mets are a good team this early on and enjoy the season right out of the gate and not have misery right out of the gate like you had last year. 888-808-1019. Now, on the other side, down south in Tampa at the Boss, my New York Yankees, they're not losing games down there. They don't lose the first two games down there. George Steinbrenner's like, you better not. And the Yankees win their 5th game in a row. But before we get to that game today, bad news. We hear that Jazz Chisholm, after his antics, not keeping his cool, running to the phone like kids do nowadays, we hear that Jazz is going to get suspended on top of a fine. And he's going to appeal, but maybe he does need to sit his ass down. Maybe he does need a game off because Jazz is struggling. But Austin Wells, what is it with the Yankees? Team issued meals only. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner have to be through the team, have to be, looked at by someone from the medical staff. So Austin Wells is out of the lineup today with food poisoning. Just as he gets his Instagram account going, rating burritos everywhere he goes. He said it wasn't burrito related, but just that fast, it's like, all right, that's not great. But fret not. Carlos Rodon is on the mound, and I knew he was due for a turnaround. Earlier today, right before the lineup came out, I just went on Twitter. I said, yo, Carlos Rodon, tonight is your night, my guy. No pressure. We took game 1. It's the Rays in our building. Time to get right. There's nothing to worry about. Lock in. Dominate. Overcome the small things. You set the tone and the vibes. Keep the ball in the park, and the bats will come through. Man, this guy had to overcome his own sweatiness. This guy, early in the game, you could tell, didn't like the conditions of the mound. He was slipping off the mound. He was sweating so much with the rosin, like he couldn't control the ball. He was wild. But all in all, Carlos Rodon gives you the best start of this early season. Carlos Rodon, who needed it more than anybody else, and let out a scream after his 102nd pitch and his 9th strikeout tonight. Finished 6 scoreless innings for the New York Yankees, where he only gave up 2 hits, walked 4 guys, and there was just 1 lonely run on the board. Yeah, 1 is the loneliest number, but that's all the Yankees would need with New York Penn Station. All stops here. That Yankee bullpen. That Yankee bullpen is nails. You love to see it. Mark Leiter Jr., you're in the circle of trust. Don't screw it up. Almost did, but you had Trent Grisham out there, and that Yankees defense throws the relay to Volpe. Volpe fires it in, gets the runner at third. What was that guy doing? Jonathan Aranda. You're the tying run in the bottom of the seventh. It's a one-run game. He gets thrown out at third with no one out. I'm like, got him. And then Goldie Knox, Paul Goldschmidt, flashing his gold glove and just continuing to be a hitting machine. How smart it was for Cashman to not sign anybody long-term, but just say, yeah, we can get Paul Goldschmidt 1 year, $12 million. He's batting .373. And I bet on Ben Rice to homer tonight, and it got robbed. Yes, officer, I'd like to report a robbery. But it didn't matter. Trent Grisham drove in the only run. And when you look at this Yankees team, they find a way. What a week for the Yankees. They didn't lose a game. That's 5 in a row. The Yankees win. Tell everyone. Start spreading the news. 888-808-1019. It's a good time. It's good vibes. The Yankees are also 13-7. So here we are with two teams in our city and a rivalry in our city that is, more hype than it's been in a long time because of one guy that went from the team last year to the other team this year. But this is New York. I don't know how many times I say it on the fan. Like, this is the mecca of baseball. This is where the MLB offices are and the team store. And MLB Network is in Jersey, but it's not far. This is where there are the most fans, where whether it's a Mets home game on a Friday night or a Yankees home game on a Friday night and the boogie down the world checks in and they see a packed house, crazy fans, good baseball. And in a month from now, the first Subway Series will be decided. So we're on our way. I don't know. If you guys are into sports, call me up. Let's talk about the Yanks. Let's talk about the Mets. Let's talk about where we are. And then once we get past 12 o'clock and it's officially Saturday, that's when we're really going to start hitting the conversation around the New York Knicks. Let me sneak a call in before we go to break just so I can get that vibe going. Richie in Brooklyn, talk to us. You're live. Nah, my brother used to live in Prospect Heights. I'm from Jersey, though. I spent some time over there. Richie, did you ask if I was from Brooklyn or did you say you're from Brooklyn?
I just didn't hear you. I couldn't get it.
Oh, all right.
Listen, I got a good lineup for when John Carlos Stanton comes back. You had Evan and Tiki talking about putting Ben Rice at third base. I'm like, what are you talking about?
Nope.
Why don't you put him in the catcher, send JC Escara down, and all problems are solved? You got him at the catcher. And
what about Austin Wells?
Yeah, but he's slipping a little bit. He ain't. You're gonna play the better person at that position. Ben Rice has been killing it, so why not throw him in there? Send JC Escara down, and there you go. You got your problems figured out. You put Stanton in your DH. You got Volpe at first, Volpe at short. So on and so forth. Keith, are you on board with me or what?
Not really. Thanks for the call, Richie. Probably should have picked a different vibe. Should have picked one of the Mets fans on hold. I should have went to this. I feel like the Mets fans are in New York. They left the stadium. They're ready to go. Let's go to Richard and Hal before we break for a different vibe. Tell me about the Mets game, what you saw from the Make It Happen Mets.
What's going on, Keith? I'm on good traffic in the GW Bridge right now. So I called you last week and I asked about Vientos and what you think about his slump, and you said give him till 6 of the mile. I like to say the man's back. He's got ice in his veins. That homer tonight was electric.
What did I say about him last week? I forgot.
I called last week and I said, how long of a leash can we give Vientos this year with what he's been playing? And you told me to give him the 6 of the mile.
Yeah. Okay. So, I really give all of these guys till Memorial Day, but Vientos, after what he showed you in the postseason, he's got as much run as he needs, and now he homers back-to-back nights. I think he had a double tonight. Like, don't worry about that guy. That guy showed you he's swaggy V. He's like that. It's early. I don't know how many times I got to keep saying it's early as hell.
Another thing we talked about last week was I brought up the Lindor thumbs down thing, and he should be captain, and absolutely. That guy is freaking something else. That home run tonight was a moonshot. The stadium was going nuts. You really can't beat moments like that, especially in April.
slow heartbeat. The guy's been in bigger moments. Captain Clutch. With the opportunity to call game, he's calling game. It was no doubter.
Absolutely. And last thing, real quick, when I let you go, I'm Brett Beatty's last 2 games, but hitting the ball pretty good. I saw the guy play down in Lakewood against the Blue Call a couple years ago, and I'm seeing flashes of the young prospect that we saw back in 2019. The kid might be something.
Yeah, these are good problems to have. Thanks for the call, Richard. As the first caller was talking about where do we put Stanton, I'm not worried about Giancarlo Stanton right now. We don't know if he's coming back. He was supposed to be back in May. He was supposed to be ready to start the season. Now he's supposed to be back in June. That is far from now, in my opinion. I'm not worried about that, and I'm not demoting anybody like a Austin Wells. I'm not worried about that. But on the Mets side, these are good problems to have. The baby Mets now are starting to be unlocked. And here comes Jeff McNeil, who's making plays in the minors in center field. And when Jeff McNeil comes back as a veteran, as a guy who's paid, they're going to put him in there. So these are good problems to have. What happens with the combination of Beatty, Acuna, Vientos, McNeil? It's better to have options than to not. It's better to be winning than to be losing. These are good problems to have on both sides of New York. 888-808-1019. Keith McPherson on the Fan till 2 a.m. Call the show. KM to AM returns right after this. What's up, man? Do the Lindor walk off? Talking to them. I already talked about Lindor's walk off. Yanks, of course. They know I'm going to talk Yanks, so I zigzag them. I zig when they expect me to zag. That's why I spent that much time talking about the Mets. They'd be like, stop talking about the Mets. Every time you're always talking about the Mets. I'm like, bro, what do you think I'm supposed to do? I don't have to always talk in favor of them. I don't have to speak about the team the way you would as a diehard Mets fan. But I watch the game. I'm paying attention. I know what's going on. Mark the winds of change Vientos and Brett the Hitman Beatty. Hey, slow it down. They're unlocked, but let's stop with the nicknames. What's up, Keith? Love your energy. Wish you were a Mets fan. See, there we go. The thing about me is this Yankee stuff started a long, long time ago. Way before I knew I'd be in this position. I was donning a Yankee cap. Honestly, never cared about the Mets. Never cared to watch them, talk about them, anything, really. You have asthma? Athletic-induced asthma. Trent Grisham and Lindor.
Good evening at 11 o'clock. I'm Marco Belletti. Well, the Mets unable to lock things down in the ninth without Edwin Diaz, but it was Francisco Lindor to the rescue. Giving the Mets the 5-4 win of the Cardinals. Howie Rose, the call, Odyssey Mets Radio. Mark Vientos went deep for a second straight night, and Juan Soto added a big RBI single to tie things in the fifth. Yankees blank the Rays 1-0. Carlos Rodon gutting his way through 6, 2 hits, 4 walks, 9 Ks. Trent Grisham knocked in the only run. RBI single in the second. Bombers win streak is 5. Play in, you got the Grizzlies all over the Mavericks, 68-53. They're early in the third. John Morant is playing. He's got 16. Anthony Davis leading Dallas with 26. In the first game, it was the Heat taking out the Hawks 123-114 in overtime, so they get the 8th seed. They'll play the Cavs in the first round. And it's game 1, Knicks and Pistons at the Garden Saturday night. Jalen Brunson trying to find the right words as to how electric the Garden crowd is going to be in the playoffs. $57 degrees, clear skies, Central Park, that's happening. I'm Marco Belletti.
I'm saying. Let's go. 888-808-1019. Hit the line one time. Let's keep talking to the fans of the New York Mets and the New York Yankees and the fans that listen to WFAN and on a Friday night are still floating over both teams winning and both teams being in first place and the prospect of these teams having dominant years. And, you know, we take it day by day, series by series, week to week, month to month. I know some people like to jump to conclusions. I know some people try to fast forward their minds and say what is or what isn't, but you really can't do that in baseball. It's just not built like that. It's a marathon, not a sprint. But what's good about the radio, at least from my perspective, doing nightly shows, like the games end and I'm the first one to react. And you can be the first one to react. And, you know, the first Yankee call I took was a reaction about Rice smoked that ball. In my chat right now, I'm live on YouTube, Bourbon Legend, shout out to Bourbon Legend. He said that ball was hit 105 miles per hour. How the F did Calabero get back to the wall? I don't know. I was so impressed with the robbery. That was such an athletic play to rob that home run. I was also a little depressed because, like I said, I bet Rice. I bet Rice to homer parlayed with Rodon 8 strikeouts. Yup, might have a couple extra dollars for diapers on the grocery run this weekend if they didn't rob that one. But yeah, and other people in the chat talking about we don't know when Stanton is coming back. Stop. Let's enjoy the fact that, like, Yankee fans, myself included, we were screaming for a bat. We need a bat, and we were not thinking about the bat that Ben Rice has brought to this team. When Stanton is back, he's back. But, like, these things tend to work themselves out. I'm not demoting Austin Wells because he's struggling. I do not think for even a millisecond the Yankees are going to try and play Ben Rice at third base. So he's a DH first baseman. Pray for health that these guys stay healthy, and we'll figure it out. We'll cross that road when we cross that road. 888-808-1019. And for the Mets and for the Mets fans, like, you got to be on one right now in a good way. Showing up to your building, backing your team, getting their second walk-off win of the season. The fact that guys were struggling and you're still winning, that's a good thing. Last night I was saying, are you a Mets fan or are you a Juan Soto fan? Are you a Mets fan or are you just a Beatty hater or a Vientos? Like this is a team of guys. This is a very expensive team of guys. This is also a team of guys that's put together in year 2 by David Stearns, guided by Carlos Mendoza. They're not supposed to be bums. Now, I'm not saying they're bums at all. They lose to the Minnesota Twins, and it's like the sky's falling. Okay, that's baseball, Susan. Not Susan's brand of baseball, but you know what I'm saying? Like, you're going to lose to some teams. You're going to lose some games. You're going to have losing streaks. Juan Soto is going to have a hot streak where he wins games for the Mets himself. The way that Lindor called game tonight, there's one in the future for Juan Soto, maybe a couple. Just see it through. Strap in and go on the ride. And while you're on the ride, enjoy the ride. Tom is in Pearl River on the Fan next. What's up, Tom?
Just thought, if you're a Mets fan and you're in the car and you're driving home from the game, you should be ashamed of yourself for giving him a standing ovation in April. We're not even talking about he's struggling. I mean, the guy still has above a 750 OPS. He's still an above average baseball player. And yes, it's such a small sample size, 3 weeks of the season. And you feel the need to coddle this.
It worked. It worked.
Sure, it worked. But are we serious? Is this what it's going to be the next?
Anytime
this guy goes to a mini rush back, we gotta build him up.
No, I'm not a Mets fan. I wasn't in there, but I also understand it because there were some boos yesterday, and they get amplified by radio shows and Twitter and people talking about it. So you do a standing ovation also to drown out any potential boos, any heckling.
Yeah, but what are we doing it for? It's 3 weeks into the season. Like I said, it's not like he's a 260 or 260 bat average. He has an over 750 OPS. Like, it wasn't.
People don't know that, man. People don't know that. There's a lot of people, like I said, jump into conclusions. There's a lot of people that don't understand this baseball stuff. It doesn't matter that he signed that contract. That doesn't make him automatic, systematic. Like, he's still got to go up there and swing, and these guys will get humbled, and it doesn't work like that. So, yeah, I don't know. We can't police fans. We can't tell people what to do. But tonight he came up. He drove Tyrone Taylor in. He got a single, and it seemed like applauding the guy worked. We saw it work for Lindor. We saw the Phillies do it for Trey Turner last year. It's become a thing.
Exactly. It's a Philly thing. They got it for the Phillies fan. That's embarrassing. That's like the Yankees singing Sweet Caroline during the 7th or 8th inning.
I'm just not on that type of time right now. I get it. As a Yankee fan, Tom, you're like, these guys are pathetic. What are they doing? To me, I say it worked. And also, like I said, it's to drown out any negative energy in there. And the optics look good. I was watching Big Inning, and I was obviously on Twitter, and a lot of baseball outlets picked that up. And I've said this, I am not a Met fan, and I didn't grow up watching SNY, but I watch now. The SNY television crew is excellent as far as whoever is producing that broadcast, whoever is putting cameras and telling this guy, hey, shot left field, hey, get the fans behind first base. Like, they have that so in sync, even with runners running the bases while they have a great broadcast. And those clips are able to hit social media. And so I don't know how many people, maybe some Yankee fans are like, nah, pathetic. This is Juan Soto. He doesn't need that. Maybe he does. Maybe he does. Like, it worked. And, bro, what I was just saying was, what a week. Juan Soto tells the truth about how he's being pitched and the approach that pitchers are taking, attacking him now that he doesn't have the best hitter in the game behind him. And it becomes a huge story. He was probably like, well, damn, I didn't know Mike Puma had to reach like that. He just asked me a couple questions. I answered with the truth. I didn't know that was going to turn into a firestorm. And then he struggled, grounding into an unassisted double play, striking out, not coming through. And I think when you see Juan Soto not shuffling, when you see Juan Soto not celebrating, it's because of himself and the standard that he puts on himself. Man, we all need positive energy. We all need positive reinforcements. Like I said, I tweeted out, Carlos Rodon didn't read my tweet, but I just put it out into the Yankee universe. Tonight is your night, my guy. You got it. You control that mound, the vibes, the energy. Come on. Overcome the mound not feeling the way you like, the dirt not being right down there in our spring training ballpark. Overcome the fact that you're so sweaty, you're throwing the ball to the backstop like 4 times. He overcame that type of stuff. And you know what? Yankee fans were down there, which obviously it's all Yankee fans in George M. Steinbrenner Field, encouraging him. They weren't there booing Carlos Rodon, and his teammates were behind him. Baseball is a hard sport to play. The power of the fans is that you can help will them to victory. Literally, 2 strikes, 2 outs, get up and cheer. You can help will them to strike the guy out. Instead of greeting a guy with boos and negativity, if everybody in the ballpark is standing up, clapping and cheering, Juan Soto hits that ball, it goes through, and it's a roar. And that's what the whole world sees versus, I didn't see or hear the boos until I, heard it on Evan and Tiki. Like, that should be done. Nobody should be booing Juan Soto anymore. There's no reason. And I damn sure don't think that there were any Yankee fans 2 nights ago dressed up as Mets fans. Like, come on, what are we talking about? The Mets win, the Yankees win. Let's talk about the games and what you guys are feeling and seeing with these teams. In Hicksville, let's go to Tim on the fan next. What's up, Tim?
How you doing, Keith?
Good.
I just want to talk about a couple of things. First thing, the guy Salatata he's when he goes off, it seems to work
goes viral, works. It gets a lot of people's attention, gets the people going.
He does. But I honestly I feel like a guy like you who actually knows the game. A guy like him, I just think he just does it for viral.
No, I gotta defend Sal. He's a smart baseball guy, but he's a fan, and man, this guy is a Mets fan doing the job. He wants to see the team that he grew up rooting for his entire life be successful like they are, but he wants the return on investment. I understand the impatience, and all he was doing was using his platform to say, hey, Juan, we expect more out of you. And that little clip from a long 4-hour show gets turned into this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. He knows. He's just saying, hey, it's time to perform.
But he's also said that he made up a complete false story about Pete Alonso being a cancer, and he has a history of saying stupid things. But I'm going to move on. I know he's a colleague of yours, and not expecting you to defend him. The thing that I want to talk about, though, my main point is that I've been watching this guy for a year. This guy, Luis Torrens, I mean, David Stearns has gotten. I think he's better than Alvarez, and I think that even Mendoza had said that this guy, when Alvarez comes back, don't expect him to just catch one day a week. I think that he's going to do what he's doing with Beatty and Acuna, and when Siri was healthy, Tyrone and Siri, where he's going to give him a series. Like I said, the guy he's better defensively than Alvarez. He calls a better game.
He hits now. And the craziest thing is I think this is the Yankees helping out the Mets, being good neighbors. I think that the Yankees gave him up for $100,000 to the richest owner in the sport. You give Luis Torrens away for $100K, steal of a deal. 888-808-1019. This guy's defense, he throws guys out. He's been clutch at I don't know. The Yankees right now are using is struggling, and not for nothing. He's a right-handed bat. All of our catchers, even the emergency catcher, Ben Rice, are left-handed, and the Yankees get into situations late in the game where they could use a right-handed bat. Luis Torrens, they gave him away for Cashman considerations. Well, one man's trash is another man's little diamond in the rough. I don't know. Let's go to Pat in the Bronx next. Pat, you got it. You're on.
Great shows always. The Mets, and you said earlier, it's a good problem to have when people are competing to get positions on the team. But if Beatty should continue to hit, perhaps Luis Acuna to maybe see himself up again in the minor leagues. He's had his taste of the majors. It might be a question of, can Beatty perform if he's not worrying about his job, perform better, but he's been doing well the last few days.
Yeah, that's 100% correct. I always say iron sharpens iron. You need competition to get the best out of these players. They're pro players. Maybe sometimes they need to feel like their job is at risk and not be comfortable to perform. Let's see if Beatty can keep it up. I don't know how soon they're going to bring back McNeil. I think it's really soon, though. And these are good problems to have. And you might be right about Acuna being the one to be sent down. I think he's got the least time up here.
Isn't it funny that the season started with the Yankees predicted to be this incredible pitching team, and the Mets predicted to be this incredible hitting team, and it was reversed in the cold weather. And now the warm weather is coming, and the Yankee pitching is starting to heat up, and the Mets bats are starting to heat up. These could be two very good teams going down the line. If the Dodgers struggle as they did in the second week of the season, we can see a real competition for the World Series for these two.
Yeah, the great John Sterling said you can't predict baseball, but yet we try to do it every single year. Even myself coming in, I always act like I'm going to pick the division winners and who I'm going to pick to win the National League and the World Series, and then I never do because you never know. I don't care to do predictions. I don't think anyone should care what my predictions are because that's why we watch. That's why we're betting on this stuff. That's why we're going to the games. That's why we're listening to radio all day, every day. We're listening to podcasts. We're watching SNY, Yes Network, because nobody knows what's going to happen next. Thanks for the call, Pat. 888-808-1019. You said the word Dodgers, and I don't care about the stinking Dodgers. But if you're an MLB person and a fan of baseball, it was Yamamoto versus deGrom tonight. You guys remember Jacob deGrom? Anyway, you remember him, Paul? I know you do. I definitely know you do.
Best man I've ever seen in my life.
I mean, he's still going. Um,
And to put on the Met uniform at his peak power, this is Piazza, this is Wright, it's Jacob deGrom, and it's not even close. He was that damn good in a Mets uniform.
bro, I was watching for a little bit today, and I almost just forgot about, like, when you watch deGrom go to work, he's almost robotic. Like, and he's the same. He goes 7 innings, 3 hits, 1 run, 7 Ks, and just the way he, like, can locate his fastball, it's a machine. It's very machine like. It's almost like it's crazy to watch. And I like, just because we haven't seen it in a couple years, I forgot. I remember years ago watching a deGrom start. And this is before I was even on WFAN. And my wife is like, "You're watching the Mets?" I'm like, "No, I'm watching deGrom." She's like, "I just never see you watch the Mets." I'm like, "But when he's pitching, that's different. If you're a baseball fan and you want to watch a master at work, Jacob deGrom is that."
It legit became a point in television when he was starting. The Cy Young season, before that, after that, anytime deGrom was starting, this is what the Mets fans envisioned when Matt Harvey with the Harvey Day and the Batman mask. Like that's what we thought we were getting with him, and then Syndergaard. deGrom is the one that really rose to the top, obviously. So yes, love Jake.
Yeah, well, the Dodgers beat the Rangers 3-0 in Arlington, and Yamamoto actually went out there and did his thing too. Those are two. deGrom is the guy you had. Yamamoto is the guy the Mets fans had wanted. Yamamoto goes out there 7 innings, 5 hits, gives up nada, strikes out 10. Advantage Dodgers, and the Dodgers are in second place. They're 15-6, but they're in second place. This is going to be good. This whole season is going to be very entertaining, and I'm happy that we have teams on both sides that we expect again to be standing in late October. 888-808-1019. Let's take a break here. I got a full rack of calls. I promise I'm going to get to you guys. We're having good conversations of both the Mets and the Yankees, and I want to keep it that way until we get to Saturday to really start talking about the Knicks. This is Keith McPherson on The Fan. Join the show. We'll be right back. You want to do the read? Yeah, so I was talking about that earlier. That came from a conversation Ryan and I had. It just didn't materialize, but I told them, like, I can't book guests Friday night. You know how hard it is to book anybody in the industry Friday night at 11:30, 12 at night? But we thought about it because they're in Michigan, so the time zone. Even so, people are in the bars, they're in restaurants, they're with their families. I have to go record a read. Actually, I can bring y'all with me. All right. I got to record a read real quick. All right, cool. And I revised the script just a little bit, but Bogan knows about it, so. So, last year I did my show at Fanatics Fest Sunday. It's a solo show, and I hope to do that again, but what I'm about to do right now is record a read for Fanatics Fest, which is in June this year, not August. So behind the scenes, you're going to see me do this. And if you listen to WFAN, you'll probably hear this read in the next week, coming up probably by Monday. Let's see. Make sure my throat is clear. I should have brought the water over here. Let me see. Let me just do a test read. Yankees fans, Fanatics Fest is making its return to New York City this summer, taking place at the Javits Center from June 20th to June 22nd. Join fellow Yankee fans at the premier sports fan event that brings you closer to your favorite sports and brand athletes, your favorite sports brand and athletes than ever before. Interact with Yankee shortstop Anthony Volpe and former Yankee Anthony Rizzo, legend CeCe Sabathia, Jorge Posada, and the captain Derek Jeter. Tickets to Fanatics Fest are available now at fanaticsfest.com. That's fanaticsfest.com. Fanatics Fest, the world's largest arena for sports, collectibles, and athletes. Okay, here we go. Let me make this bigger. Okay, mic is on. In 5, 5, 4, 3, 2. Yankees fans, Fanatics Fest is making its return to New York City this summer. Taking place at the Javits Center from June 20th to June 22nd, join fellow Yankees at the premier sports fan event that brings you closer to your favorite sports brand and athletes than ever before. Interact with Yankee shortstop Anthony Volpe and former Yankee Anthony Rizzo, legend CeCe Sabathia, Jorge Posada, and the captain Derek Jeter. Tickets to Fanatics Fest are available now at fanaticsfest.com. That's fanaticsfest.com. Fanatics Fest, the world's largest arena for sports, collectibles, and athletes. This is the Boomer and Geo studio. If you guys have never seen Boomer and Geo studio outside of freaking TV, CBS Sports. All right, commercial break is probably over. Let me make sure. I think Paul dipped, but that should be good. One take, Drizzy Drake. I turn the mic on. You'll know what to do. It should be good. Let me know if it sounds good. I think it should be fine. Come on, bro. These boys left this dirty ass pizza in here. Come on, yo. Be better, yo. Be better. Clean up after yourself. These boys left that Detroit pizza in here. Throw that shit in the garbage, yo. All right. Let me see if I can hit the chat before we get back. Maybe let me listen. We'll have another break before 12. All right, we'll do the big shot after this one. Okay. I got 20 seconds. Let's see. Rice is not a third baseman. Serious question about Acuna. Acuna, does he need to take the oven mitt off? He keeps sliding off the bag. He just needs to slide better and stay. Never switching sides, bro. Rodon did need that. Rodon, great outing. Let's go Devils as we get to the Stanley Cup playoffs. Good evening. Shout out Ben Rice, Trent Grisham. I don't know the exit velocity on the Judge ball. It looked good off the bat. This shirt is official. If you watch the game, this is official Yankee merch. This is team issued apparel. Cam to Am. And we're back. Thanks for holding. I mean, you could go do anything else. You could cut this off, but don't you want to hear the calls? 888-808-1019. There's a bunch of calls. We're obviously talking about the Mets and the Yankees. Let's continue. Joe is in Massapequa. What's up, Joe? Good. How are you?
I'm actually headed home from City Field. I work at City Field. I'm a Yankee fan. I work for the Mets. That's another day, another story. But what I was saying is, who brought this thing about Ben Rice being a third baseman? It's not easy.
I don't know. I think I heard Tiki say today that he saw a picture of him at third base. I don't know where that came from. It's not a thing. I think reporters might have asked Aaron Boone about it a week or two ago, and Aaron Boone shut it down. I guarantee you it's not happening because he doesn't we can't, he's not a third baseman. He doesn't profile as one. We can't just say, well, where do we put this guy? If he could play third base, they would have already done that in the spring when it was DJ, Cabrera, and he's not a third baseman. He's a former catcher that played first base. Now he's DHing every day, and I love it. I love the fact that he didn't need a lot of time to transition into being just a DH, and he's got the confidence from last year. He's taken a big step this year. Good to have him.
Yeah, because you have, let's say, 6 games a week. I mean, he could catch 2, he could play first 2, and DH 2. I mean, Stanton might not be back till June anyway. It's a good problem to have when he comes back, but Stanton's not going to hit the ground running, so he's going to need days off.
Yeah, we always know, this is year 9 of Stanton as a Yankee. He comes back and he needs 2 or 3 weeks. Just he'll be swinging out of his shoes. He'll look like he never played baseball. But then once he starts to track the ball and once he starts to find it, he's hitting that Poland Spring sign in left field. So I don't know. I'm just not worried about it today because we have enough guys hitting in this lineup and the best hitter in the world in this lineup. I feel like Yankee fans are always reaching for problems, right? Rodon tonight wasn't a problem. Good, let's celebrate. Let's stop trying to problem solve problems that don't exist yet. Like, we'll get there when we get there.
Yeah, we need Rodon to step up. I mean, thank God we got freed. I mean, you want to get Soto. I was kind of indifferent on getting him. I wanted him. I love, how can you not love Juan Soto on your team? But they get him. They don't get freed. Who's pitching for this team without Max Fried?
Everything happens how it's supposed to. The universe never unconnects. This whole dynamic, to me, I've been loving it. Thanks for the call, Joe. 888-808-1019. Juan Soto was meant to go to the Yankees for 1 year and then go to Queens and be a Met for the rest of his career. And the Yankees were meant to pivot away from, of course, that's why I like when people are complaining about Hal Steinbrenner being cheap, which is so stupid, or talking about Hal Steinbrenner having a ceiling on, 307, 308 million. He offered Juan Soto $760 million, knowing that this team had other holes and issues, but also realizing that fans were obsessed with the dude. He's one of the best players in the game, and we got to the World Series with him last year, so we had to try to get him. They tried. They failed. He's a Met. Congratulations to the New York Mets. The Yankees pivoted, and yes, where would they be without a Max Fried right now? Where would they be without a Paul Goldschmidt right now? Fernando Cruz, Devin Williams. They needed to pivot and do what they did. And both teams are good. Everything happens how it's supposed to. Juan Soto comes through tonight. And if I was a Met fan, I'd be looking at him now saying, okay, he broke through. Now he's about to start heating up. When the weather starts heating up, we made it through this little stretch of like nonsense, from the article to the boos to now the standing ovation. That's done. This team wins despite like all of it, whether it's a Griffin Canning start, whether it's David Peterson, whether it's this bullpen, whether it's guys like Brett Beatty and Mark Vientos being like, hey, all the pressure is not on us. Juan Soto's getting all the attention. We got to show up. They get it done. 888-808-1019. Let's go to Pearl River. Bill, you're on the fan.
Hey, Keith, how are you? Just left the game, left City. It was a great vibe tonight. It was just, Mets fans have to calm down. Juan Soto will be fine. The team has a great vibe around them, and it was a good night. And, it was a lot of fun. So I'm looking forward to the year going forward.
Yeah, I hope that this is past us. And I hope that the Mets fans are looking at the standings and looking at how you've won these games, these close games. It's a sign of a good team. It's a sign of chemistry within a clubhouse. It's a sign of the right leadership, right? Not just Lindor, who is obviously the captain without having the title, but the manager and the other players on this team saying, hey, like, let's get it done. We got to answer now. We got to drive in runs now. We got to hold now. And they're finding ways to win. So all the other stuff is nonsense. It's fodder. It's internet stuff. It's propaganda. You're a fan to root on the team to win however they win. And they have enough guys that are getting it done.
And trust me, I've gone through my roller coaster through the years as a Met fan, like deGrom being hurt all the time. And, it was hard on Pete last year, but this year it feels different, and the adding him has made the team and the lineup that much deeper and better. And it's just, you got to play it out. You got to support them and go forward with a positive attitude and positive vibe. And it was a good night. So,
thanks for the call, Bill. And know in your mind and believe in your heart that there will be a time where Juan Soto is hitting homers every day. There will be a time where Juan Soto is driving. There will be a time where they can't get Juan Soto out. We've all seen this. Your friend that's a Yankee fan, your coworker that's a Yankee fan just lived it last year. As a Met fan, you've seen it where he's coming to the building with the Washington Nationals. He's 26 years old. His life just changed drastically. And we've talked about this week all the little things, from the pressure and him not realizing how actually crazy we are as fans here in New York on both sides, and the impact that he made switching sides. and those game checks hitting a little different than they ever hit, and just giving a quote to a reporter in an article and that becoming national news, to even the tragedy that happened in the Dominican Republic and how obviously, that had to affect him in some kind of way. I don't know if he has one person or multiple people that him or a family member are connected, but like it's a lot to process for a 26-year-old dude who is expected to come out. And because of his record-breaking contract, he's expected to be Barry Bonds at the plate every time up. It just doesn't work like that. Baseball, we can't predict baseball. It's a tough sport to play. I just know what that dude is. And that's why I said as a Yankee fan, yeah, I was laughing a little bit this week watching some of the Mets fans squirm. But like, I know that it is temporary. And I also know that Juan Soto is not the whole team. Now, if you had a team of a bunch of scrubs and just Juan Soto and like he's struggling and you were losing, that'd be different. But that's not what we're looking at right here. Peter is in New Brunswick next up on the Fan. Hello, Peter.
What's up, Keith? How you doing?
Good.
Yeah, so I was just calling because of, the guy that was talking about us cheering for Soto. And honestly, I think it's a shame that we're talking so much about Soto and not Lindor. But I guess that's what comes with the $750 million contract. But anyone that plays baseball past 10 years old knows just like how mental it is, and anything can help. And Soto, like you just said, and I thought you were when you said, "Are we Soto fans or are we Mets fans?" I mean, you absolutely hit the nail on the head there. We're winning. Who cares? I mean, I don't care if the guy goes over for and we win. It's ridiculous. I mean, and just let Soto know that not all Mets fans are going to be this, and we're going to back him no matter what. I don't think that's not crazy.
Yeah, well, obviously the first call I took was from a Yankee fan that wants to needle still. Yeah, of course. And I know the Yankee fan well. And sometimes I like to needle and troll myself, but it's not valid right now. The Mets are winning right now. They're getting it done despite Soto struggling. He did come through tonight. And like you said, we should be talking about 250 career home runs for Lindor. We should be talking about how they talk about Lindor having a slow start in April. Not at home so far. I was listening to the post game. He's hitting like 380 in Citi Field so far.
Yeah. And let me tell you, I've been to a lot of Mets games. I think that's the best one. I mean, we were down, came back, down again, came back. Razabon gives him a home run. Like you said, Lindor's got it. I mean, it was electric in there. And the focus, Soto, he's generational. He'll come around. I'm not worried. I never have. I'll cheer for him because, anyone can use a boost. I don't care how much money you make.
Thanks for the call, Peter. Yeah, the focus should be on Mark Vientos homering back-to-back nights, Brett Beatty coming through, Luis Torrens being what he is, Tyrone Taylor coming out of it a little bit. The focus should be on even Pete Alonso with a triple. I didn't even mention that yet. Like, there's so many other things to focus on than this one player. But like Peter just said, that's what comes with the contract. And also that's what comes with going from the Yankees to the Mets in this town. And, you're going to get Yankee fans that are going to call and say, you guys are pathetic for giving that man a standing ovation. No, you're not. And like Yankee fans, two things. One, don't tell anybody what to do in their ballpark, because in our ballpark, people chant F Altuve, F Juan Soto when neither one are there. I've seen ridiculous things go on in Yankee Stadium, stupid things go on in Yankee Stadium that don't represent us. Cheering, standing up and giving somebody positive energy, positive reinforcement, that's lame. That's not lame at all. That's what you're there to do. That's what you took the train there to do. That's what you drove in traffic to do. That's what you paid for parking to do. That's what you paid for that ticket to do. You go there as a fan. They can hear you. You're going to potentially be on TV. They can see you. You go there to root for the home team. You're not supposed to be there to boo. You're not supposed to be there to kick these guys when they're down. Aren't you emotionally invested in them winning? I don't know. Am I getting confused? Carlos is in Queens on the Fan next. What's up, Los?
Hey, what's happening, Keith? So listen, everybody's a little stirred up about my man Soto. It happens, But one guy that I really think that the Mets fan base should just be on the radar is Mauricio. He's in the minor leagues. He was hurt. He's coming back. But I really think that he got more upside than Beatty and Acuna combined. And at the end of the day, I gotta also think the Yankees, man. If you got any more players that we could buy, I talked to my uncle already. My uncle got more money. We can drop a little bit more on the bag, buy a little catch up from you guys. We got the best ERA in the league right now. So, we don't got pitching. And there's a lot of upside to the team right now. Everybody's a little nervous, but we winning. We getting through. So, times are good right now. And, you guys should be nervous right now. At the end of the day, you're talking a lot, you talk a lot.
Bruh, what are we nervous about? We're in first place too. Thanks for the call, Carlos. Let's not do that. Let's stay in our own sides and corners. I cannot wait. You already heard me say in a month from now, the first Subway Series will be decided. Sunday in the Bronx. I might go to all 3 of the games. I don't have a ticket, but I'll be in there. I'll probably be in every section. Because, I live for this type of stuff. I like that type of energy. I'm not worried. I want the Mets to be good. And you know what? Out of all of the years that I've said the Subway Series doesn't matter to the Yankees, I really feel like this year it's going to matter. I feel like those guys are going to be playing like it's the World Series. They're actually, the Yankees have put together punt lineups. The Yankees have, done things like line up Domingo Germán and Jordan Montgomery, put Jahmai Jones and JD Davis in the lineup. I don't even remember the catcher that they had catch those games. They've done things like pinch hit Joey Gallo, the worst statistical hitter in Yankees history. Yeah, let's pinch hit Joey Gallo. Come on. But I think this time around, with the dynamic that exists, where literally it's like, welcome to the party. You got the richest owner in the sport. You went to the NLCS last year. You got the second highest payroll in the sport. Oh, Juan Soto chose to join you. Okay, let's play these games out. And Major League Baseball set it up where it's not 2 games on a Tuesday, Wednesday. They're giving us 3 days on the weekend in May. And then they're giving us the July 4th holiday in Queens. If you're into baseball, those games are going to be turned up. But there's also going to be a ton of casuals that don't know who's coming out of the bullpen and don't understand. It's just going to be very New York. I'm not nervous at all. I like that. That's what it's supposed to be like. In 2020, when they shut everything down, we couldn't go to the ballpark. And I talk about in 2021, the best baseball environment that I was in was that September 11th weekend at Citi Field. That Subway Series was insane. It was ridiculous. I'm like, it felt illegal. It felt like some of the things that I saw and experienced that weekend going to those games. I'm like, this is wild. We're allowed to have this much fun. We're allowed to do this. Like, that's where we're headed again. So I'm not nervous. And Luis Torrens, that's the Yankees being like, whatever, you can have him. He was a rail rider or something. But like, what is blowing mine is that he was $100,000 to the richest owner in the sport. $100,000 for that player. You couldn't have got anything. You couldn't have got another player back. Like, literally gave him away. What's $100,000 to a billionaire?
It should be something to maybe the Pirates owner, but that's pretty much it. And I agree with you. It's the power of Juan Soto that's really making the Subway Series relevant. Let's just call it like it is. If Juan Soto goes to the Blue Jays, the Subway Series has juice, but it doesn't have this type of juice. It doesn't have the needling that's going to be going on that weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Whether you want to start it with Juan Soto hitting 200 or you want to start it with Luke Weaver looking light years better than Devin Williams so far tonight. And that is going to go back and forth. And that is the fun part about being a fan, right? Like, that is what Mets fans and Yankees fans live for. Those 6 games, which in theory, and you're right, really don't mean much. In the scheme of different leagues, different everything, like, they really don't mean much to the teams, but to the fans and bragging rights, that's it.
Yeah, you can't manufacture more than New York versus New York and the energy and excitement that'll exist. And what if both teams are in first place in a month still? Like, it's just that more of a war, a battle, but it's entertainment and it's not really fighting. You know what I'm saying? It's not really, no one's getting hurt. I mean, some of y'all are going to be fighting. I know, like, fights break out. Fights break out at every Subway Series. Keep your hands to yourself. It's not that serious. But, yeah, I love this type of stuff. I'm not worried. And Yankee fans, you shouldn't be worried, too. You should welcome it. And like I said, there's going to be a different energy from guys like Aaron Judge, which Judge is always locked in. But, like, I think that this Yankees team, they're going to understand And those are going to be nationally televised games that like, oh, we need to win these games. Well, we need these bragging rights. No, we can't get swept again by the Mets. We can't get smoked 13-2 in our building by the Mets. We'll never live it down, even though it doesn't really count for anything. 888-808-1019. Coming up next, the big shot of the night. We're going to have to pour up a double shot, one for each side. Keith McPherson on the Fan. Join the show. BRB. All right, I'm in the chat now. Happy for both teams. Jared, sorry I'm late. Don't worry about it, man. This is, you can even rewind back. This is all going to be saved on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, free Odyssey app. By the way, you couldn't pay me to dress up as a Met fan. And I'm sure Mets fans would say the same about dressing up as Yankee fans. Same. Somebody tried to say that to me. Like, what if Steve Cohen offered you a job? I'm good. I'm good where I am. I'm good as who I am. I'm not interested. Most Mets fans aren't accustomed to what they currently have. Correct. That's why I said there's like this weird first place paranoia. You're in first place and you're not content with that. You got to find issues with Juan Soto and what Yankee fans are saying. Doing it all wrong. Rodon did step up. Never. For what? I don't like the color scheme. Facts. Yeah, I tried to stick up for Sal there because he's been he's been getting the brunt of it, and what people don't understand is like I say this all the time. We do these shows, like me specifically. I'll do a 5-hour show, and a 1-minute clip will go out, and people will draw so many conclusions and have so many comments and so many things to say about me and the take from 1 minute of a clip out of a 5-hour show. So just chill out. And what I say is it works. Viral. That clip spread like wildfire. Yankee fans loved it because it was a Met fan panicking. Mets fans hated it because it was a Met fan panicking. Or at least seeming like he was panicking. And he wasn't panicking. What he was saying is, hey, it's time to get going. You failed a bunch of times. You're better than this. We know you're better than this. We paid you to be better than this. Let's see it. Grateful we got Soto, but never booed a dude. That already happened. Yeah, Torrens was just like a non-factor, though. But what we're seeing now, I'm just like, what? Nolan. What's he, 23 years old, leading the league in homers? deGrom is a shortstop. Yeah, he was. Love the behind-the-scenes look. Yeah. You guys got to see me do a read. Yep, 1 take KM. Actually got to check on that. You're good? You sent that to Bogan? Okay, thanks. Yeah, 1 take. So, you guys got to see me. You got to see me do what I call a dry run, where I read the words out loud just so I could get the cadence and enunciation clarity of what I had to say, and then I ratcheted it up for the radio read. So yeah, that's the whole point of this, man. I've had a lot of eureka moments in these last couple years. Something I was just talking to my wife about was okay, this is my 4th year of doing the nighttime radio show. I don't believe that just doing the radio is going to increase my reach. I get some of the same callers, some of the same people that listen to WFAN at night. They're always here. How do I build on what I've built? How do I expand? How do I reach more people while I'm on the radio? Right here, on a stream. Right here. I bought a new MacBook in September. I bought StreamYard in January. The next thing I'm going to do is set up the audio, it's just a little trickier than, just plug and play. I'm going to set up the audio to run through my MacBook so you guys get the true audio here. This has grown my YouTube channel, my Twitter following. It is starting to expand my brand and my name more so than the radio alone could. The radio's not going to reach any more people. Anybody that listens to WFAN, anyone that listens to the Audio C app, they're aware of me and who I am. Like this nerd right here, no one knows who he is, but he knows who I am. He's probably known who I am for a year. I'll never see him outside because I never met a hater. Never met one. They're not like that. They don't pull up on me, bruh. They don't pull up on me. I'm waiting. I'm literally waiting. It's been years. I'm waiting for someone to pull up to me and be like, "You're a clown." I'm waiting for someone to and I'm outside. I'm at the game. I take the train. I'm all around the city. Pull up. Pull up. You won't, because y'all only tough online. Y'all only tough online. And I'm not a tough guy, but I'm also not a, pull up on me. We'll see. Evolve or dissolve. I've been saying that forever. If you just stay and live the same year over and over again, if you just keep doing the same things, you're going to be stuck. You got to evolve, and nobody can evolve you but you. We're humans. It's human nature, human evolution. All right. The big shot of the night is brought to you by WFAN and me, Keith McPherson. Bright lights, big city. We got a bunch of big shots. And tonight we're pouring up a double shot because there are two guys that just got to get love after their performances tonight. We're starting off with Francisco Lindor. Had the lettuce flowing. He came in dressed like a model. I mean, he's got the fashion sense. But, man, this guy is leading the team. He is the captain of the team without being the captain. I don't know when they're going to do the ceremony for him. I don't know when they're going to actually announce it. But you don't have to announce it. What's understood don't need to be explained. Lindor has one hit tonight. And he literally called game with it. A solo shot to walk it off for the Mets and to flip that building upside down. 888-808-1019. The first shot of the night goes to Francisco Lindor, home run 250, hitting 380 at home. And you can forget the conversation around him having a slow April. That was clutch. Captain Clutch. Oh, and on the other side, Carlos Rodon. Again, I just had a feeling today. It all just made sense today. I just came out today and said, yo, Carlos Rodon, tonight is your night, my guy. No pressure. We took game one. It's the Rays in our building. Time to get right. There's nothing to worry about. Lock in, dominate, overcome the small things, set the tone and the vibes. Keep the ball in the park and the bats will come through. The bats barely came through. That's why I can't give a big shot to anybody at the plate, really. If you look at the Yankees box score, there's a lot of guys that went over. But, shout out to Goldschmidt, Goldie Knox with another 3 hits. He's going crazy. He's got so many hits already. Sidebar, I'm going to give the big shot to Rodon. But, when you look at Paul Goldschmidt, go look at his last 30 games. We haven't even played 38 games. He's got 28 hits. He's got so many multi-hit games already. I think he's got 10 multi-hit games already. He's hitting 373, and there were people telling me, we need Christian Walker. No, we don't. Paul Goldschmidt, Goldie Knox, good to have you. But yeah, Carlos Rodon goes out there, throws 102 pitches. Carlos Rodon goes out there when everybody's expecting him to struggle, because he struggled here. I don't know if everybody was expecting him to struggle, but you can't trust him, right? Everybody's kind of looking at him like, what version of Carlos Rodon are we going to get? And I said the only things he had to overcome tonight were the mound conditions and his own perspiration. And he did. 6 innings, only 2 hits, 4 walks, 9 Ks. And he was fired up, man. He was fired up. Even when he got into the dugout, he threw his hat. I'm like, oh, this guy's a hardo. He's always pissed off. Even when he does well, he's pissed. 888-808-1019. Back to the phones we go. Once we get on the other side of 12, I'm going to start talking about the Knicks because it's playoff time. I said New York got coming in tonight. I could feel it in the air. It's all happening at once. Joe is in Marlboro on the Fan. Paul will come to you next. Hello, Joe.
Hey, how you doing? I just want to say first, I absolutely love the show. I listen to you guys every night. You guys are awesome, and you make my drive home great from work every night. The other thing I want to say, I'm a lifelong Yankee fan. Love the Yankees. I want to clear up this Soto thing from my side because I'm a little bit indifferent. Soto's a great player. I'm not rooting for the guy, but he didn't choose to come here. He didn't want to resign, obviously. That's fine. Not rooting for him. But for the Mets fans out there, you guys are winning games, like you were saying. He's not the best outfielder in the world, but he's an absolutely electric hitter. He's a great player. You guys are going to be fine. There's a lot of pressure under him right now. He's still in the bright lights in New York. He's making all that money. Just sign that new deal, and he's going to be fine for you guys. I wish we still had him. We don't. We're still playing great baseball. You guys are too, and I love when both New York teams are good. You love to see it when you're living around this area. But he'll be fine for you guys. I wouldn't overreact yet. It's still April.
Thanks for the call, Joe. Yeah, I think there are some Yankee fans that, we got our initial get back, right? We got our initial laugh. So, he's off to a slow start. That's all you're going to need because that's not going to be Juan Soto for the rest of the year and for years to come. And I think there's a lot of Yankee fans that'll come off of it. Like I said, for me, I'm not rooting for the guy. So I did enjoy watching him, kill worms and ants with the ground outs and strike out and just leave guys on base and ground into double plays. But I know what he is. And when he gets going, watch, there's going to be a lot of Yankee fans. A lot of these fans that are popping out this week. Some of them are getting their clout tokens up. Me, I'm getting my Elon Musk payment. I'm making $60 a week off of trolling on Twitter. I'm going to take that $60 a month. That's all I need in the gas tank. But when Juan Soto gets going, there's not going to be much to say. And I just really think it's going to coincide with the team needing him. When some other guys' bats go cold, it's in Juan Soto's carrying. You can't get him out. Juan Soto is doing it. So, yeah, man, it's good. And again, it's good for business. I was reading an article a couple of weeks ago how they expect, $990 million, which is probably going to get pushed to close to $1 billion. That's what they're expecting the economy in New York City to get off of baseball, off of the Yankees and Mets playing baseball in this city this year. $990 million into the economy. Obviously, visiting teams coming in, and obviously diehard fans are there, but more casual fans and more energy just around, Aaron Judge and the Yankees, Lindor, Juan Soto, and the Mets. It's a good time to be a baseball fan in New York. 888-808-1019. We got to take a break right here. I'll say good morning on the other side, and I'm about to start sprinkling stuff for the Knicks fans. You can come together, Mets fans and Yankee fans that are also Knicks fans. Keith McPherson on the fan. Back right after this. Yeah, how does it feel watching the defense this year? No holding your breath. I just kept all day saying that Yankee defense. I'm on Twitter Yankee defense. So that's what needed to happen. They needed to shore up that Yankee defense. 7-1 at Citi Field. Keep it rolling. Home field advantage. Dream or nightmare scenario, Yanks Mets split season series 3-3 meet each other in the World Series. I don't think that's going to happen, but it's more of a dream than a nightmare. Regular season split, that's a draw, good. Nobody gets the bragging rights there. And then you meet in the World Series to decide who is who and what is what. Could you imagine the Yankees meeting the Mets in the World Series? The Mets win. And the Yankees lose back-to-back World Series. The Mets end their drought. The Mets bring a parade back to New York before the Yankees. That's actually the nightmare scenario right there. Jen, if you would have continued that with, if you would have continued with this, meet each other in the World Series and the Mets win, that's the nightmare scenario. Crazy for that home run to get robbed. Yeah, that was crazy. In real time, I'm like, what? Wow. Because you know how hard Rice hits the ball. They lose sight of the full content when they only see a. Sure. That's what I'm saying. With the radio shows, and I appreciate it, man. There are some people like Mike that like pretty much listen to the whole show. But there's so many people on the internet, they're not listening to the radio show. Like when Tiki had the You're Dead to Me with Saquon, they weren't listening. They did not have the context. They did not know it was tongue in cheek. They didn't know that Tiki has a relationship with, like, there were NFL players that were like, well, damn, why you gotta be dead to you? Yo, that's not how you, a former player, that's not how you're supposed to treat another player going to get his money. And I'm like, they were not like Emmanuel Acho, I think Ryan Clark, Lamar Jackson, a couple other people like spoke on Tiki Barber and what he had to say. And I'm like, they're helicoptering in off of a quote card. They were not listening to the show. There was no context. All they saw was Tiki Barber says you're dead to me in reference to Saquon leaving the Giants for the Eagles, and they ran with it. Yep, we're over 1,000 watching now. Bro, by the end of the night, I've been pushing 2,000. And what I realized, too, is like, once it gets to 2 a.m., what else is going on live and concurrent? Even the TV shows. SNY is on a loop with Sports Night. The games are done. You can't even watch live games. So it's cool to give people this view. Milton, appreciate you, bro. E-Bugs, appreciate you, bro. Emilio, exactly. There's so many keyboard warriors, people that will write despicable things, say terrible things. Every day I read something, I'm just like, I'm so used to it. I'm like, these people are idiots. But I never meet them. And I meet a lot of people. I go to games, I go to events. No one has ever walked up to me and been like, you suck. No one has ever walked up to me and been like, you're a clown. Nobody's ever walked up to me and been like, your show sucks. So it's just not real. Like, that's what it tells. In real life, everybody's nice in real life. Even if they're not nice, like, they don't have the courage to approach me with that energy that they do online. So what? It's not valid. It's nothing. Anthony says, you're not a clown, Keith. A lot of haters. You have some thumb thugs out here. Ebook says keyboard warriors, online thugs. Yeah, but like, that's the thing. I'm like, bruh, when you see me in real life too, I'm not a tough guy. I'm not looking to fight anybody, but I just know I don't look like the type of person you're bringing that type of energy to. And if you do, like, that's what I'm saying. Come with it. There better be a couple of y'all. There better be a couple of y'all. That game had Citi Field. That had a playoff vibe at Citi Field. Crazy to say in April, but it was fun to watch. I saw Salicata say that, and I was saying that too. I was like, it just restored the feeling of last postseason. Lindor hitting a walk-off homer and the lights flickering and seeing everybody jumping up and down and hugging. I'm like, it brought us back to October. We do need more parades. Yeah, the YouTube's starting to get high.
Good morning at 12 o'clock. I'm Marco Belletti. Francisco Lindor, your walk-off blast for the Mets as they survive the Cardinals 5-4. Mark Vientos seems to be coming around. 2 more hits, went deep for a second straight night. Juan Soto delivered a game-tying RBI single in the 5th as well, getting a huge ovation from the crowd. Meanwhile, Carlos Rodon settled in after a rocky start, gave up 2 hits, walked 4, but struck out 9 as the Yankees challenged the Rays 1-0. Trent Grisham knocked in the only run. Bombers pushed their win streak to 5. Meanwhile, Jazz Chisholm hit with a 1-game suspension by Major League Baseball from his ejection Thursday night. Followed that quick outburst, social media. Major League Baseball called it conduct detrimental, including a violation of Major League Baseball's social media policy. Jazz appealing the suspension. Playing down to the final couple minutes, now down to the final 20 seconds. Grizzlies all over the Mavericks. 118-101. They're going to win the 8th seed. They're going to face the Thunder in the first round. John Morant did play at 22. Jaren Jackson Jr. led a bounce attack with 24. Anthony Davis poured in 40 for Dallas. The Heat outlast the Hawks 123-114 in overtime. Tyler Hero 30. They now get the Cavs in the first round. Knicks and Pistons guarded later tonight. Tom Thibodeau feeling some heat with thoughts. His job could be in jeopardy without a deep playoff run, but don't tell it to Jalen Brunson. 56 degrees, cloudy skies, Central Park. That's what's happening. I'm Marco Belletti.
Good morning. Good morning. Saturday. You know what that means? Coming off of Marco's update. The world's most famous arena will have playoff basketball later tonight. Go New York, go New York, go. The Detroit Pistons, fake-ass bad boys. Why do they got to try and act like they're the bad boys? Before we get to them, I got to address Knicks fans. I'm not a Knicks fan. I'm an NBA fan. I'm a WFAN host. I watch the Knicks games. And if you remember last year's run, I tried to turn my Knick hater energy down and put on for the city as a radio host that was on at night during the Rangers run, during the Knicks run, taking those calls. It wasn't about me. It was about the city. And again, it's not about my fandom. The NBA team that I root for is irrelevant. And as I look at Knicks fans and I look at this series, I think I have a good vantage point because I'm not a Knicks fan, so I'm not worried. I'm not shook of the Pistons. I don't see the Pistons beating the Knicks. 888-808-1019. I'll lay it out for you and tell you my reasons why, but let's start with the coach. Stop. We eat our own. We are so critical and negative. You're already ready to kick this guy out of the door who's given you 50-win seasons. You had the 2 seed last year, the 3 seed this year. You're not used to this. You want to run the guy out of town that is the architect of this? You want to run the guy out of town that has helped you get this? I don't understand that. I don't understand that. Tom Thibodeau is not just a coach. He is a leader of men. You just heard Jalen Brunson talk about it. Your captain is going to go out there and make sure that they don't lose to the Pistons to protect this man's job. Your captain talked about what he's done for his career and how prepared he is. Do you think Tibbs is going out there to lose to JB Bickerstaff after a week of preparation? I don't think so. I don't think so. They'd be better off with Monty Williams. I'm just kidding. But I just don't see the Knicks losing to this young Detroit team. And let's talk about them for a minute now. I've been paying more attention to them. I wasn't paying that much attention. Like, I think I was on last week and I mentioned Jaden Ivey. And then I thought about Jaden Ivey never came back from that broken leg that he had, one of their top draft picks over the years. And there's just a ton of attention around Cade Cunningham. And if you've ever heard me talk about the NBA and their international darlings, and if you've ever heard me talk about how the NBA wants to be a global game, if you've watched Court of Gold on Netflix, perfect example, right? They show you how France has Victor Wembanyama and Canada has Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Serbia has Nikola Jokic. It seems like now the NBA game is a global game. There's so many foreign stars, Luka Doncic. But this is our game. The Americans win the gold. The Americans have the best players. LeBron James, Steph Curry, Kevin Durant. Like the Americans are the best. And who is the next American to be the face of the franchise or be the face of the league and take over the mantle? Is like, Ant-Man is not like that, bro. Ant-Man is a great player, but he's not really looking. John Morant is going from AK-47s to grenades. He's not like that either. Cade Cunningham, young Cade Cunningham, is the guy that they want to thrust into the spotlight as the rising star, the next upcoming guy. He was the number 1 overall pick. He's 23 years old. He's cold as hell. But the machine is working. Whereas if Cade Cunningham and these, Detroit versus everybody wannabe bad boys can knock off the New York Knicks, then Cunningham takes a step forward in that regard. They don't want it to be Jason Tatum either, even though he really is, kids from St. Louis, went to Duke. drafted by the Celtics, champion already. He's cold as hell. He might go back to back, but like, follow me what I'm saying here. There's so much propaganda around Cade Cunningham. And even though there's a ton of media here in New York, the media in the NBA, they hate New York. Like, they hate the Knicks. And I think a lot of it is because the Knicks have had such a strong fan base and so much hype over the years, every year, even when they didn't actually have the guys on the floor or the coaching or, the basketball to back it up. But now they do. Now they do. 888-808-1019. Jalen Brunson and Karl Anthony Towns were all-star starters. You go out and get a Mikal Bridges, forget about the regular season. The regular season is not the playoffs. And I know some of y'all are looking at what the Pistons did in the regular season versus the Knicks. It's not the same kind of environment. Not even the same players on the floor. Not the same matchups. Not the same sets, rotations. Like, Mitchell Robinson is back. Mitchell Robinson is talking about, how he expects it to be a hard-fought series, right? It's going to be a dirty series. And he's ready to go out there and, play for the city, fight and compete for the city. Good. And I think I saw Huck Porty might be questionable. That's another body to have with OG Anunoby, with Mikal Bridges. These guys are going to defend, and they're going to be playing defense like their life depends on it. They're going to have to stop Cade Cunningham, and he's going to look for guys to help him. And there's a lot of talk about the youth of the Detroit Pistons, which is good and bad. Youth is good because they're young. They can run up and down the court. They have fresh legs. Cunningham, I mentioned, is 23. Isaiah Stewart, he seems like an old head, but he's young too. What was he? He's 23 too. AKA Beef Stew. All the clips you see of him, it just seems like he wants to fight, get ejected. And then Asor Thompson is 22. Jalen Duren is 21. Ron Holland is 19. Like, they actually do have really young guys. And then mixed in, they have guys like Tobias Harris. Tobias Harris was a 0 last year in the series against the Knicks, playing for the Sixers. Tim Hardaway Jr., all Knicks fans are familiar with. He's on that team. Dennis Schroeder, we're all familiar with Dennis Schroeder too. He's bounced around on a bunch of teams, fumbled the bag. He's on that team. But I don't know, man. As I was putting together notes and I was looking at box scores and all these different things to try and think about what was going to happen, obviously Detroit has the battery in their back right now. The Detroit Lions emerged and got to the NFC Championship, should have went to the Super Bowl 2 years ago. Then they were the number 1 seed in the NFC playoffs this year, fell flat on their face. But the city was alive. Detroit is going through a mini renaissance right now. So they're very much taking on this attitude of Detroit versus everybody and it being their time. Even their baseball team, right? Their baseball team got hot, knocked off the Astros, and they're pretty good so far this year. Like, the city is feeling themselves. And I haven't mentioned Malik Beasley yet. He's got an interesting story. I was reading in the Players Tribune. His mom is from Detroit, born and raised. So he used to spend summers in Detroit growing up. And he put out this letter on the Players Tribune where, he was talking about his Detroit versus everybody, the grit, the family environment that we have. We're about to put on for the city, how so many guys on this team were counted out, but we've come together and now is our time. And he said, Detroit, I think Detroit was the perfect fit because it's this entire team that has something to prove. Ownership, coach, Cade, our young guys, our vets, even the fans had something to prove. You finished last in the league. You lose 28 in a row at one point. The arena was not rocking. That's not Detroit basketball. I can't announce it how their announcers do it. I've never been to Little Caesars Arena. I'm reading from the article. He says it's not where you want to be. They were in the dumps last year. The Knicks made a trade with them last year. And I don't know, man. I see a lot of people picking the Detroit Pistons, and I think it's just a sexy pick because people hate on the Knicks and hate on New York. It's just a sexy pick in the first round to be like, oh, let me take Detroit. But they're not taking them in 4. They're not taking them in 5. Most of them are taking them in 7. They're saying if Detroit is going to beat the Knicks, it's got to take 7 games. I think the Knicks beat them in 6, but it could also be in 5. It could also be in 5. 888-808-1019. So, now I've opened that conversation. I'll add more as far as, some different matchups and players, some people that we should be looking for to star in this series, what it's going to take to win as far as, defense and three-point shooting and who's got to do what and the matchups and things that I have in my notes. But I want to hear from the Knicks fans. Are you nervous? Are you excited? I think you got to be excited, man. I saw Ian Begley posting about a watch party on 33rd Street outside of Madison Square Garden for Game 1. It's free. It's open to the public. It starts at 4 p.m. tonight, not tomorrow. It's Saturday. Hello. And there's going to be different Knicks alumni, including Latrell Sprewell, Marcus Camby, Larry Johnson. The Fan Plaza opens at 4. So if you want to go out there, even if you don't have tickets to the game and you just want to be around other Knicks fans, you just want to be in that environment because it is playoff time. How many playoffs did you watch where the Knicks season was over? They're consistently in the playoffs now, and nobody knows what's going to happen. But my prediction all week has been Knicks in 6. I think there's going to be a game or two where Cade Cunningham goes off. I think Detroit is going to be rocking. We already saw how they tried to stop Knicks fans from buying tickets. They want to keep it all Michigan in there. Good luck with that. New York travels well. The Knicks especially have fans that travel well, but it's fun. It's a heightened level of everything, and you should be nervous. You should be feeling some kind of way right now. You should have a little bit of anxiety or some butterflies in your stomach because it's playoff basketball. It's do or die. It's win or go home. And this Knicks team, we all know what they're up against. We all know that they have to get through this first round. They have to advance and meet the Celtics. 888-808-1019. I was looking at the schedule too. As Yankee calls are still coming in. I'm going to take the Yankee calls. I'm going to take the Mets calls, of course, coming off of those wins, coming off of both teams being in first place with 13 wins. But I'm not on again until Monday. And it is now Saturday. And I'll be the first one on the Fan to start, stirring the pot and cooking on the Knicks first round playoff matchup. The 3-seed Knicks versus the 6-seed Detroit Pistons. 888-808-1019. So Saturday, today, 6 p.m., you've got that game on ESPN against Detroit. Game 1 is a must-win game. And then Monday, I'm not sure what time I'll be on, probably late. So I'll probably be on the Fan after the Knicks face Detroit in Game 2 on TNT. Then Thursday is the first game in Little Caesars Arena out there in Michigan. And that's on the 24th. Then there's a game Sunday out there in Michigan. That's at 1 p.m. The Thursday game is TBD. I would assume they do it at night. But what I'm getting at here is when you start to look at the schedule and you start to think like, okay, the Knicks should win the first game, they should win the second game. They say the series doesn't start until the road team wins. Man, if the Knicks could take that first game in Detroit, I think that's going to be the toughest one to win. I think they might have a better shot in the matinee game, that Sunday game, which is a little earlier. But that stretch, I was just joking. Like the Knicks were there coming off the heels of the Yankees playing in Detroit. And it was cold and it was freezing temps and snowing. And the Yankee games went from 6:40 at night to all afternoon games because they had to play them when the sun was out. And I'm like, nobody wants to go to Michigan. Well, the Knicks are going to go to Michigan probably Wednesday, fly out there, play Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. That's a stretch of 5 days in Michigan. Nobody wants to go to Michigan. And I don't know how warm it's going to be, but a stretch of like 4.5, 5 days in Michigan is a lot. They may come back with the series split, win the next game, then go to Detroit, win that game. And I got Knicks in 6, man. I got Knicks in 6. 888-808-1019. Let's go to Charlie in Queens on the Fan. What's up, Charlie? Good. How are you?
One, I got tickets to next Friday's game. Get my hockey Yankee jersey.
Yeah, I'm trying to go to that game too. Hopefully the good folks here at WFAN can put a ticket to the side for me. But even if they don't, I will be in there.
Then I'm also going to the game, the May 2nd game with the
Jazz Chisholm jersey. Yep. I will be in there for that one too. I'll be there next Saturday. I'm hoping that it starts to warm up and we can get some 70-degree days, and then the temperature at night is like 55. We'll see. I think we're on our way.
Okay. Plus, I'm wearing this new kid. You might have heard of him, Rice. He wears 22.
Ben Rice, Ben Arose.
What a beautiful jersey. I said, what the hell?
I'm kicking myself because I saw that 22 jersey go on sale after Soto signed, and it was for the low, and I'm like, you can't get that. No one's going to wear that jersey. People are going to think you're wearing a Soto jersey, and then Ben Rice takes 22, and I'm like, should have bought it.
About the Knicks, because I'm a Knicks fan. I don't think much about Detroit. I think they're a good team, but they're not at our level yet.
No, what I think is that the Detroit fans are excited and they're pumped up, and they should be. Their team poked their head out this year and they were competitive. But Detroit fans haven't been in the playoffs since Blake Griffin and them in 2019. They haven't won a playoff series in God knows how long. It is a different beast and environment. And as I talk about the world's most famous arena, these Knicks fans are getting used to the playoffs. These Knicks fans are getting used to that wild atmosphere. And it's different when these guys from Detroit come here and they look at Celebrity Row and they've got all these celebrities around and cameras flashing, and there's a way different presence of media and pressure, and the Knicks, they're going to respond to that. I always say that the air in there is different. It just smells different. It feels different in the Garden.
And I'm surprised. Is Kid Rock going to the Detroit games with Eminem? They're going to sit with each other and,
Kid Rock, Eminem, Big Sean. I don't even know, but yeah, maybe they'll bring out Jello Ball.
And since Roseanne Barr's not really liked in New York anymore, she can go to Detroit and cheer for them too. It'd be like a wonderful fest.
It's going to be great. I've never been to Motown. Respect to the city. I just never had a reason to go, but this is iconic. New York versus Detroit. This is going to be a good series. Knicks in 6, man. I'm putting some respect on Detroit, but not as much respect as so many people are saying that they're going to beat the Knicks. I'm giving them 2 games and 2 close games. And maybe 2 close games in their building. Maybe they win 1, of the first 2, and then another one to stay alive. But I think the Knicks could gentleman sweep them, honestly. They have better players and a better coach, and you're going to see the Knicks play at a different level than they did against Detroit in the regular season. And I think they're going to outscore them. I think they have better scorers. I think if the defense is solid or more solid with OG, with Mitch, with, how they can put Josh Hart on the floor and attack them and stop Cade Cunningham. And I see the Knicks as more experienced with better players, a better coach, and they're going to play a different level of basketball against these guys that they haven't seen yet.
And one last thing about the Giants with the pick, just pick the best player.
Yeah, if Abdul Carter is there, go ahead and take him.
Yeah, because we need everything.
Right.
You go for the best that's right in front of you, and you go, you know what? We'll get a quarterback sooner or later.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Decent quarterbacks anyway, so why complain now? All right, have a good night. Hope little Action Jackson is staying out of trouble, and I'll see you at the stadium in about a week.
Charlie, I'll see you in the bleachers or wherever I might find you in the Bronx. And yeah, Jackson is in his terrible 2s, but he's being good and he's sleeping right now. I like how you put it about the Giants. We make so much about where they have holes and needs. And when you lose 10 games in a row, clearly you have holes everywhere. So take the best player available, the most talented guy. And he's going to enter your locker room and enter your facility and be one of the most talented guys and help you out on the field. And that might be Abdul Carter. I've been saying, though, they have Kayvon, they have Brian Burns. They went out and got Chauncey Golston. That maybe getting another edge rusher might be too redundant. Maybe he doesn't help you right away to trade back. But it takes 2 to tango. To trade back, you got to get somebody on the phone that wants that number 3 spot, probably to take Abdul Carter, and they've got to give you a good haul. And if you're not getting something that's worth it, then you can't just take it. We're coming up on it. Next week is going to be so much fun. Next week with the draft, with the NBA playoffs, the Devils, in the Stanley Cup playoffs, with the Mets and the Yankees, first place teams just rolling on. Like, there's going to be a lot to do and a lot to talk about. Tangible things, real things. We're not going to have to reach for takes. We're not going to have any contrived things. Like, we're going to have actual results and things to break down, to analyze, and to take your calls on. 888-808-1019. As I'm looking for the Knicks fans to join the conversation, I could talk about the Knicks for the next 90 minutes. But Yankee fans want to call the fan and talk to me, and I don't mind. Matthew is in New Jersey next on the fan. What's up, Matt?
How are you, Keith?
I'm good. Another good win, a 1-0 win.
Big win. I love that. Hitting, pitching was great tonight. Hitting wasn't great. But about the hitting, Cody Bellinger, he's looking rough to start the season. Do you think this is just some spring slump, early season slump? Do you think he's going to pick it up?
He looked so good in the spring. He was like the second guy I said I was excited about. Ben Rice first, and then Cody Bellinger. But he has had food poisoning and now back issues that have slowed him down. I think once it gets warm, the back will be loose. He'll be out there running around sweating, and that shouldn't be an issue. And hopefully these guys, Austin Wells came down with food poisoning. Hopefully these guys are being extra cautious with what they're deciding to eat. I think Cody Bellinger is going to come around once it starts heating up too. And luckily we haven't desperately needed him because of the emergence of Ben Rice, because Paul Goldschmidt has been automatic. Judge has been a freak. So yeah, I think Cody will come around as he's in the lineup. He's been taken out of the lineup so many times. It's hard to get a flow going when you're playing one game a series.
Okay. And also, this is, we're in the early season. I don't want to get too ahead, but what do you think the goal for this team is, come playoff time? Is it, is a World Series possible? I don't want to get too ahead of myself, but what's the end goal?
This is the New York Yankees, bro. They were in the World Series last year. They're expected to go to the World Series every year. We would be kidding ourselves if we're like, oh, is a World Series possible? We expect to win it this year. We expect to go back and win it. If it's the Dodgers waiting for us, if it's the Mets waiting for us, it could be the Chicago Cubs. I expect them to get to the Fall Classic and win it this year to erase last year. Straight up. And I know we don't want to get ahead of ourselves. As I say, we take it day by day, series by series, week to week, month to month. But we know we'll be disappointed with an appearance as a wild card team. We know, we expect them to win the division. They're in first place right now. I expect them to stay in first place. They might drop. They might have a little bit of a slump. They might fall out of it. But at the end of the year, there's not going to be one Yankee fan saying, yay, we made it to the DS. Oh, we lost in the ALCS. We were so close. You'd be mad as hell if they don't get back to the World Series. And if they get back to the World Series and lose back-to-back World Series, man, that's going to be pain. So, yeah, I expect them to win it. And I expect Judge to be Judge. I really do. I expect this year to be the year that Aaron Judge carries his regular season prowess into October. He failed at the highest level last year. I've said these things over and over. These three things. He failed at the highest level. There's no greater stage to fail on. His daughter was born in the offseason. He's a father now. Life changes. The perspective changes. The gravity of watching a life come to life and being someone's dad, it makes all the other stuff seem like it's nothing. And then third, Juan Soto left the Yankees and went across town, and Judge was very vocal about how he feels the Yankees have a better chance to win. And I just think all of the mocking of him dropping the pop-up, and people talking even right now how great he's been, people talking about, oh, well, it doesn't matter till October. Well, yeah, when we get to this next October, fingers crossed, I think Judge is going to be the same. I think if they pitch to him, he's not going to be pressing as much. He's in his prime right now. He's still only getting better. So let's see it. Stay healthy and get there.
Yeah, I 100% agree. Thank you so much, Keith. Have a good one.
Thanks for the call, Matt. 888-808-1019. Maybe there's more than three things. It's, if we go back to last year, it's the failing on the highest level, the World Series, the world watching. And then you got to put the mocking, right? I can't say anything on Twitter without someone putting a gif of Judge dropping that pop-up. As if Judge didn't make a ridiculous catch to rob Freddie Freeman right before that. As if Judge wasn't flawless, MVP, all-star in center field, no errors at the position all year. But all it takes is one. because that led to them unraveling in the fifth. You know, people making an AI image of Judge in Times Square saying, oh, waiting for the ball to drop. People minimizing Aaron Judge's greatness all offseason. Oh, yeah, he's Mr. May. You know, in this offseason, his daughter being born, him stepping into fatherhood, parenthood. It's different now. He's got a little girl at home looking at him. His wife is now the mother of his child. And like, not to go too deep into it, but I've spoken on this before. Judge is adopted. Judge's blood parents, we don't know anything about his blood parents. So like, I don't know what his daughter looks like, and I'm minding my business, but you know, this is part of the conversation. Like, that is his biological blood relative. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm sure that's heavy for him in a good way. I know what it's like for me having my son, just looking at my son every day. My son was born April 13th, 2023. And I'm looking at him now and I'm like, how did he become this in 2 years? I'm looking at the pictures from, you know, these days, 2 years. I'm like, wow, I'm different. My choices are different. My perspective has changed. The way that I approach everything is now not just for me. It's about my wife and my son. I'm telling you, Judge is moving different. The window is closing, right? This Yankees championship window is closing. We don't even have Cole this year. But they did pivot and make some moves, right? Another layer is Juan Soto leaving. You got to the World Series last year with Juan Soto. And Juan Soto decided that there were greener pastures across town and vocalized that he felt like he had a better chance of winning over there. Like, when we get to October, Judge knows, you know, I know, everybody in baseball, like, Judge knows he has to perform. 888-808-1019. And I just think there's so many things that have changed for him. And when you put all those things together, I think that it's not going to be so heavy. I don't think he's going to be pressing as much. I think this could be the year. He's already off to the best start of his career. So if he's off to the best start of his career, still in his prime, still getting better, why can't he get to the postseason this year and power the Yankees? And he knows, and you know, and I know, all it takes is one. All it takes is him to have 1 month in October like he's had through this stretch. They're putting up the numbers now of his last 162 games. Let me see if I can find it, because it's stupid. The numbers that have popped up are dumb. Like, they don't make any sense. Like, people are talking about Judge breaking his own home run record. And I just think that, you know, as with all the talk about, oh, yeah, he can't do it in October. Well, please talk about October 2025. Don't talk about the past, because it's over. It's done. And that's why we watch. That's why we're locked in. And this team has a different energy about them. They have a good mix of young players that are wide-eyed and bushy-tailed, and it seems like they're just happy to be out there smiling and playing. And then they have, you know, some grizzled veterans that, you know, aren't cracking smiles, but are out there going about their business, going to work the way they have for years. That's a good mix to have. And I feel like they're locked in. You got to lose to know how to win. Man, you got to go through some pain. This Yankees team, a lot of these guys, they went through pain last year losing that World Series. So, yeah, if you're a Yankee fan asking me what are the expectations, this World Series, bro, and to win it. This window is not forever. 888-808-1019. The Knicks window is not forever. The Knicks window is 3 years, including this year. I think they might have another 2 years after this with this group that they punched it and made these trades and moves to get. And Knicks fans, call me up, join the conversation when we come back. Still taking calls on the Yankees, on the Mets, and just going to keep mixing in different things around the New York Knicks, as the Knicks will host the Detroit Pistons in the Garden tonight. Keep McPherson on the fan. We'll be right back. Jack, what up, bro? I'm about to come in there in 1 second. All right, I gotta post this. Shout out to Gabe, bro. took game one. It's the Rays in our building. Carlos Rodon didn't read my tweet, but I just put it out into the Yankee universe. You control that mound, the vibes, the energy. Come on. Overcome the mound not feeling the way you like. Overcome the fact that you're so sweaty. You're throwing the ball to the backstop like 4 times. But he overcame that type of stuff. And you know what? Yankee fans were down there encouraging him. They weren't there booing Carlos Rodon, and his teammates were behind him. Baseball is a hard sport to play. The power of the fans is that you can help will them to victory. Literally. All right. Twitter. So you guys are watching me, and then like if you look at my Twitter, I just put that out. All right, Instagram. Next. Went on Twitter. I said, "Yo, Carlos." I need to get one of those apps that has like all of my social media channels where I can just post it once, but they're usually janky. So I got to post on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. And now the show is about to start, so I barely have time to post. But it's all work, man. All right, we're getting back to the show right now. Hey, yo, let's go. Right back to the show. Keith McPherson on the Fan, 888-808-1019. I am talking about sports, specifically New York sports, on the greatest sports station ever created in the greatest city in the world with the greatest fans that never get enough of it. I've been joking about that recently because I was having a conversation with a friend of mine. I'm like, WFN is one of the only stations where it's not automated at night, where all hours of the day, there's just different shifts, different people coming in, talking about the same things. You'll hear some of the same callers call different shows. You'll hear some of the same callers call every day. People don't get tired of it. And it's free. It is streaming free on the Odyssey app and on WFAN.com, and of course 1019 FM and 660 AM. And there are people that can hear the AM feed far reaching, and it's entertaining. It is not like this in every city. They don't have the amount of talent that we have on our roster in every city. And they also don't have you, the fans, that call in with your thoughts, your takes, and your emotion and passion. That's what does it too. You know, I'm a solo host, so I literally lean on the callers. I don't have a co-host to powwow with during the break. You know, and I do the night shift. Shout out to Jack, who just switched with Paulie. Paulie was here at 12. Jack just came in, so I have different producers. But dial 888-808-1019 if you'd like to join the conversation around the New York Knicks. Before we went to break, I talked about how the Knicks will be back into the playoffs. Playoff energy is back in the Garden. If you heard Jalen Brunson talk about it, it's like, you know, a story you tell somebody, but people got to experience it for themselves. I did not go last year, but I did go against the Miami Heat. I think I went to Game 5 in that Miami Heat series, and it's just different in there, man. It was fun. It was a lot of fun. And so, Knicks fans, you're about to have a lot of fun again, and you got to believe. I don't understand the trepidation. I don't understand the negativity. I don't understand the thoughts about, like, we can't beat the Pistons. You have to. You literally have to beat the Detroit Pistons. And I think it's Knicks in 5, but I think it's Knicks in 6, but I think they can beat them in 5. I'm trying to give them a little bit of respect that they're not going to get swept. Cade Cunningham is a great player, a great young player, though. Let's see if he can continue. Like, he's good for 30 points. He scored 30 points in the Garden every time. Let's see if he can continue that, though, in the playoffs when they throw different looks at him. And the defense is ratcheted up to a different level. You know, who's checking him? Is it OG? Is it Mikal? We shall see. We shall see. You know, and I really think that it's a matchup where the Knicks have to score. You know, I was looking and there was a clip where Mikal Bridges was talking about how he feels that his mid-range game will be big for the Knicks in the playoffs. I'm like, that's what I said. It's not so much about the threes. It's about getting in the paint, shooting the ball, and passing the ball. Josh Hart being a passer. Brunson knowing when to pass. Those guys knowing when to dish it. And, you know, when I looked at the last game, and it was a 9-point win, it was fairly close for a while. The last game on April 10th when the Knicks faced the Pistons. And they did so without OG, without Josh Hart, and without Mitchell Robinson. And guys like Precious Achiuwa were giving them a run for their money. And guys like Miles McBride. I just think this Knicks team is deep enough. I think this team is well coached enough and prepared enough where their stars are going to match up better with, you know, the handful of stars that the Pistons have. 888-808-1019. Bruce is in Suffering, New York. We're getting a little feedback, Bruce, but yep, you're live. There you go. Yep, you're good now.
I'm thinking I got the Knicks in 5, baby. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, it could be a gentleman's sweep. It could be Knicks in 5.
Keith, I got Josh Hart, 30 points first night. How you feeling about that?
Oh, whoa. Why you got Josh Hart 30 points? How's he going to get 30 points? Has he scored 30 points this year?
No, he hasn't, but I'm just feeling my bones, man. I think that McBride's going to come off the bench, give him the ball. I think he's going to get 12 rebounds. I'm feeling lucky with Josh Hart. I got my draft team loaded up. I'm feeling Josh Hart tonight.
Well, it is tonight. The game is tonight. Game 1 is tonight. Thanks for the call, Brooks. Do not bet Josh Hart to score 30 points in the first playoff game. That's a waste of money and time. I just mentioned him being a passer. Maybe bet his assist prop. And I haven't looked at the FanDuel app and the odds. I might throw a little something on it. But do not bet Josh. How is Josh Hart going to score 30 points? Jalen Brunson will probably score 30 points if they run strictly through him. Karl Anthony Towns, maybe 30. I would bet OG Anunoby to score 30 points before Josh Hart. Josh Hart, there's no strategy where Josh Hart is going. But like you feel it in your bones, you said, throw a couple shekels on it. But I'm telling you, you're wasting your time. 888-808-1019. I would look for his assists and his rebounds. I would look for Mikal Bridges. Mikal Bridges, depending on, like, he can't have these 5-point single-digit point games. He's got to be a threat. And I'm really looking at Mikal Bridges as like, okay, bro, you can change Knicks fans' feelings about you completely with one good playoff series, playing good defense and scoring the basketball in the mid-range. But I don't know if any of these guys scoring 30 points is the way. You want to kind of keep them off balance. That's why I'm like, if you had, 28 points from Karl Anthony Towns and another 25 from Brunson and another 19-20 from OG, and then you're like, that's probably better. I'm very curious to see this year if it's Brunson dominating the ball and him doing all the scoring, or how they set this up. They're going to go to the hot hand. They're going to try and play the matchups, but there is no matchup where Josh Hart scores 30 points. 888-808-1019. Come on, Knicks fans. We need a little different kind of Knick fan caller. Charlie weighed in on the Knicks. Brooks just weighed in, I guess, with his FanDuel dreams of like a plus 5,000 ticket. We need a little different energy from the Knicks fan. Maybe it's nervous energy right now. Maybe the Knicks fan tonight is like, I don't know, I'm not feeling it. Let's continue, though. I want to take this call from Chris in Syracuse. Hello, Chris. You're on the fan.
Hey, how you doing, Keith?
Good. Thanks for calling.
Hey, I wanted to tell you a little story. I'm a big Rangers fan, and it was one Sunday afternoon, and I tuned in to watch the game, and I noticed Sam Rosen wasn't doing the game. So between periods, I switched over to check out some NFL games, and I switched to the Bills game, and Sam Rosen's doing the game.
When was this?
He did the NFL from the 90s to like 2019, I believe.
Okay.
I haven't heard anyone mention that on the fan, not even Boomer.
Yeah, no, I mean, I know he's been in the game for, weren't they celebrating 40 years of him doing the Rangers call? But a lot of these guys, like John Sterling, called Atlanta Hawks games. We're hearing Dave Sims right now. Dave Sims did NFL, did college basketball. A lot of these announcers, they end up becoming the voice of a certain team, but as they're making their way up, they do other things. They do different leagues, and like the best guys can do every sport.
Yeah, and that's similar talent to his replacement, Kenny Albert, doing basketball and hockey. I just wanted to mention that. On the thruway, driving a tractor trailer from Syracuse to Albany. I was going to call last night when you were talking about Sam Rosen, but I was too close to my destination. Go Knicks.
Thanks for the call, Chris. Yeah, last night I opened my show, and the first thing I had to do was honor Sam Rosen. And I talked about how great it was that the Rangers were able to send him out with a 4-0 shutout. But like for me, as someone who's in his 4th year on the radio as a nighttime host, and looking at someone who just did 40 years as the voice of the Rangers, and as Chris just said it, he called NFL games and other things. I just think it's impressive, and it's hard to do. I'm trying to find the words now to put it together. It's just like it's such a sacrifice to be able to do all of those games. It takes such a level of preparation and skill to be so good at it. It's also so hard to obtain. There's so many people that want those jobs. There's so many people that want to get, and like it's crazy. There's, we just saw John Sterling last year. Excuse me. Howie Rose just celebrated last year. He's not done, but he celebrated a milestone last year. We talked last night about Al Hartwig. Just in New York sports, and I'm blanking on the words for it. In New York sports, Al Troutwig. In New York sports, there have been so many of these guys who are the like soundtrack to these teams and these broadcasts, and we're in this era now where like there's starting to be somewhat of a changing of the guard, and it's just crazy to think that these guys have held on to these jobs for so long and done it so professionally and so well, and eventually, it's time to hang it up. Eventually, that's the end for all of us. So I just kind of started last night with a tribute to Sam Rosen and just giving him his flowers. It's something you don't think about until it's over. And myself, I'm like, I don't know how long I'm gonna be doing this. And there's a lot of people that say to me, "Oh, you got to get into broadcasting, you got into calling the game." I'm like, I don't want to be a broadcaster. That was never my aim. I wasn't trying to call games. I was never trying to do play-by-play or do color. But I think years ago, before the internet, before some of these other verticals and things you could do on TV and YouTube and podcasts, and even like myself being a radio host, all these guys that got into it, like they got into it calling baseball games and football games and basketball games and hockey games. I never really did that. I called some Pop Warner football games. I went from calling Pop Warner football games. Fast forward 20 years later, I got to sit in for Susan Waldman and call a Yankee game. And I couldn't call games when I was young growing up because I played sports every season. And even in college, I can't call a game. How can I call a game? I'm at practice. I can't call a game. I'm in the weight room. I can't call a game. It just never timed up for me to be able to get those reps. But yeah, I have a ton of respect for guys that have been able to do it for a long time and hold it down, and they become iconic, and they outlive the like players. They become part of the team. Like 40 years, no players is able to play for 40 years. Players don't even play half that long. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to Sam Rosen on a great career. 888-808-1019. Rob is in Jackson Heights. Rob, you're on the Fan.
So ironic. That's literally why I was calling in. So I was going to ask you how you felt about doing play-by-play and joining Susan because, and it's funny what you said earlier too. I just had my first child, beautiful baby girl, April 10th, last Thursday, and my beautiful fiance lives in Jackson Heights. I'm from Long Island, so I wait for the traffic to die down, and then I head out to Jackson Heights every night, throwing the Yankee game on the radio, and I hate to be negative, but I'm really devastated that Sterling's gone. I actually think Dave Sims is kind of brutal. I'm kind of like worried for my health. I'm like falling asleep behind the wheel.
Ah, man. Well, first off, congratulations to you and your girl and your baby girl. I know, like I just was talking about the life experience, how much changes, and how great that is. And also for me, I would need to get reps, and I don't see this is my job now. I would need to get reps, even when they kind of threw me into the fire in the Yankee situation. I'm just a Yankee fan, so I'm happy to get the opportunity to do it. But like, I did all my nighttime shows leading up. I think I did Thursday night, and then the next Friday, like the next day, Friday night, I'm on the Yankee call. And in hindsight, I'm like, man, I needed more time to prepare for that. It's not necessarily my lane. It's not something I'm trying to do. But what I will say is it's really hard to do. I give Susan a ton of credit, and I give Dave a ton of credit. And what I'll say is, John, like if you're 30-some years old, John is all you really knew calling the games. And we heard Ricky Ricardo, we heard Justin Shackle, we heard Emmanuel Babari. I mean, even like Craig Carton did a game, Brandon Tierney did a game. I forget the Islanders broadcaster that did a game. nobody is John Sterling. He's 101, and his style was just so much of Yankee baseball and what we came to know and love. Dave Sims is a pro's pro. He's really good too. I just think it's going to take longer than the first 20 games. I also, like, even tonight I was listening. Susan messed up. She's like, and taking the mic, the voice of the Yankees, John Sterling. Oh, she did it again, and I guess her and Dave have like a jar where she puts $10 in the jar every time she messes that up. But I just think Dave is a complete different broadcaster and voice and sound, but he's good. He's had some really good calls, and I think all these things take time, man. Whenever there's a transition, it takes time.
I didn't want to throw any shade at him. It's just more so I'm kind of missing Sterling. Like, I think Sterling was.
Of course, bro. I lumped that in. I'm like, we lost the World Series, we lost Juan Soto, and don't forget we lost John Sterling.
Yeah, exactly. And then one more point I wanted to touch on, that you just brought up, Juan Soto. Seeing the way that he's playing, do you think he should change his name to Juan Soto?
That joke has been floating around the last couple weeks. Everybody's got to get their jokes and jabs in now, because that guy is going to turn it on, and there's going to be a lot of quiet people like, wow. And the Mets they're winning without him. So when he starts getting it going and they're pitching and they're all hitting, and like, they might go on a better run than they did last year. So yeah, get your jabs and jokes in on Juan Soto right now until it warms up and this guy's hitting the ball out of the ballpark.
Well, thanks for taking my call. I really appreciate it. Love.
Thanks for the call, Rob. 888-808-1019. Yeah, it's tough whenever there's a transition, whenever, like, shout out to Steve Summers, who is an icon, and you should check out his podcast, Me Here, You There podcast that Steve is doing. But when I came in, I remember how much flack I got. I always talk about it because it coincided with me being in Puerto Rico with my wife, and my son wasn't born yet. And honestly, we were in Puerto Rico as like a second honeymoon, because after I got married to my wife, I made my wife go to Colorado for the All-Star game. And I was like, we'll go somewhere once baseball is over. And this is before I was on the fan. I just always been a baseball fan like that. Wanted to go to the All-Star game, and then also was not going anywhere until the World Series was over, just in case the Yankees made it to the World Series. They did not. But I ended up being in Puerto Rico for the first week of November. And I remember getting the call from WFAN that the schmooze wanted to do his final schmooze. He wanted to let the cat out of the bag, let people know that he was stepping out and that I was coming in. And when that bomb got dropped, I remember getting the green light. But once the article came out, and then once the internet found out, the wave of negativity and hate, and just people had never even heard my voice. They had never heard my radio show. Some of them knew of my podcast, and some of them had followed me on the internet and some other things that I was doing. But I'm like, wow. I'm like, is this what it's like to make it? Is this what it's like to step into the industry? I'm like, these things that people are writing about me, I'm in Puerto Rico right now, and I'm crying tears of joy at dinner with my wife. But then when I get back to the hotel to look at my phone, I'm like, well, damn, they got to give me a shot. But what I'm saying is, it was just a transition of people that love Steve Summers and were so used to hearing Steve's show, and they couldn't possibly imagine someone else coming in and doing the nighttime show, and wanted to hear him continue and whatever. And I'm still not Steve Summers, and I never will be. But I think I've developed my own sound and carved out my own lane. And I know I have people that enjoy my show, and it took time. I'm still working on it. I'm still trying to get better at it. But I'm using that to talk about, Dave Sims taking over for John Sterling. Whenever there's change, people react negatively. It's rare that someone takes over for someone that's been doing something for so long, even if there's someone like Dave Sims. I'm coming in with no radio experience. I'm coming in as a relative nobody in the grand scheme of things. And so I understood it. And I honestly channeled it and was like, well, I'm going to prove people wrong. I'm going to work hard at this. I'm going to get good at this. I'm going to, do my thing, whatever. But Dave Sims was calling games for the Seattle Mariners. And Dave Sims been Dave Sims was from here. Dave Sims was doing shows here. Dave Sims, when I got on the fan, reached out to me and said, young man, I was doing the nighttime show back in 88, 89. I'm like, wow, that's when I was born. So, yeah, it's just part of it, man. There's going to be more change. There's always going to be things. Like when Craig left, multiple times, like Craig leaves, Gio ends up with Boomer. They're still number one. Craig comes back. It's Carton and Roberts. They're number one. They leave. Now it's Evan and Tiki. Like, people might have had something to say when those change happened, even with, Tiki and Tierney and then Sal. It's like at first people react negatively, but then you give it time and it evolves and it changes. And then you realize, like, people are putting in work and they're professionals and it's not that bad. 888-808-1019. We're about to hit 1 o'clock. Still looking for Knicks fans to chime in on the Detroit Pistons series coming up, starting in the Garden at 6 p.m. tonight. Still talking about the Mets and the Yankees coming off wins, being in first place, and taking your calls on anything else, like, Sam Rosen or Dave Sims on the call. And I got some other things to sprinkle in too. We haven't really talked about the NFL draft. We haven't really talked about the Stanley Cup playoffs either, so we can do some of that as well. I've got 1 hour left. If you'd like to join the show, dial 888-808-1019. Keith McPherson on the fan. Back after this. All right. 1 second, chat. I need to post. Okay. Okay. Did they say 200 dancers? That's a lot of different dancers at Gallagher's 3,000. 200 in a week? I think those numbers check out.
Probably.
200.
I've never been, but I've heard this commercial for the last 30 years. We hadn't had it in since COVID.
It did disappear for a little while because I used to joke about it.
This used to be every other spot during the overnights when I was with Tony Page.
So somebody in sales tapped them on the they tapped back in with them to be like.
Honestly, I wonder if like COVID really messed them up, and then they've now just started to get back on their feet. Who the hell knows?
Probably, but I feel like I heard that. I feel like I was here post COVID, and I heard some Gallagher's 3,000. Yeah,
I feel like it's been forever. I feel like it's been since Tony.
I think like 21, 22, I heard it, and then they kind of dipped off for a little while. But clearly, they're still in business.
Yeah. And it's basically the same spot. They just updated it.
Yeah, there's a little different sounding voice.
Yeah, but the script is exactly the same, I think. I just read this. The Knicks are on at 6. I think they were at 8.
6 p.m.
Oh, you killed me.
Why? What happened?
I got to take my daughter to a birthday party. I don't think she gets home until like 7:30. Trying to watch this game with the other 2 kids is not going to be easy. Hoping she'll be back home by the time the game's done.
Okay, I haven't been in this chat for like an hour, going back to 12. Talking like Tibbs ever won anything at any time. He already beat JB Bickerstaff. It's the first round. Appreciate it. If we get a Subway Series, we get a Subway Series. It's just not likely. I doubt it. Listen to you every night driving home from work. Appreciate it, bro. Correct. Nets will be relevant when? Let's see how this lottery ball bounces. 2-3 years. Like 2028. For sure. Why Yankees don't win anymore? Why you have that shirt? Knox going. Knicks going to lose in the first round, remember? Why do I have this shirt? What does this shirt have to do with the Yankees winning, bro? This is a team issued shirt, bro. I've been flexing my connection to the team getting team issued gear. Pistons in 7. Talk about it, bro. Oh, Brendan Burke was the guy from the Islanders that called a couple Yankee games. Yes, I couldn't remember his name. Oh, you're saying they're getting 7 points in the first game? I gotta look at that.
Good morning at 1 o'clock. I'm Marco Belletti. High drama at Citi Field as Francisco Lindor made it feel like last season again, delivered the walk-off solo shot. The Mets came back from a few deficits and survived the Cardinals 5-4. Juan Soto tied things. Reby single in the 5th. Mark Vientos went deep for a second straight game as the Mets have won 11 of 15. Yankees pushed their win streak to 5. Blanca Rays 1-0. Carlos Rodon struck out 9 over 6 innings, a 2-hit ball, 4 walks. Trent Grisham an RBI single for the game's lone run. Play-in, Grizzlies roll the Mavericks 120-106. They'll get the Thunder in the first round. Heat outlast the Hawks 123-114 in overtime. Tyler Hero 30. They'll now see the Cavs. And it's game 1, Knicks and Pistons at the Garden later tonight. Tom Thibodeau not buying the talk at his club. Heavy favorites for the series. $55 degrees, cloud skies, Central Park. That's what's happening. I'm Marco Belletti.
Yeah. Inside the 1 a.m. hour on the Fan in New York. It's Saturday, April 19th. Keith McPherson on the Fan as we prepare for more baseball, as we prepare for the start of the NBA playoffs. And I take your calls for the next 50 minutes or so. 888-808-1019. The Yankees won last night. The Mets won last night. And the Yankees have won 5 in a row. And the Mets now have bounced back from losing in Minnesota to take the first 2 at Citi Field. They're 7-1 at Citi Field. Lindor with the walk-off. I just got tagged in a video from SNY Mets an hour ago, scenes at Citi. You know, once that homer hit, fans running on top of the dugout and people throwing stuff in the air. And it's just a party, man. That's why I said I could feel it in the air. New York is ready. Both sides of town, the Yankees and the Mets, Citi Field and Yankee Stadium. It's going to be a great spring and summer. And a lot of that energy you saw in Citi Field is going to be in Madison Square Garden tonight. In my live chat, shout out to Nicholas P., who pointed out the Pistons are getting 7 points. So I haven't really looked at the odds. I think I might look tomorrow if I want to put a parlay or something together. But now I'm looking at them. You know, the Knicks are favored by 7 points in this game. And that's the largest spread of the first round games tomorrow night. The Bucks and Pacers, the Pacers are minus 5.5. The Clippers and Nuggets, the Nuggets are minus 2.5. The Timberwolves and Lakers, the Lakers are minus 4. So, you know, they're expecting the Knicks minus 7. They're expecting the Knicks to cover 7 points. They're expecting the Knicks to beat these guys. And like when you look at the playoff series, you look at series betting, the Pistons are plus 333 to win the series. So what does that tell you? People are talking about the Pistons winning, but Vegas is expecting the Knicks to win. I think they have the better team, the better coach, home court advantage, all of that good stuff. So back to the phones we go, talking about the Yankees, the Mets, the Knicks, whatever you guys want to do for this last less than an hour. I might sneak in a little commentary on the New Jersey Devils and their first round matchup with the Hurricanes. Not feeling too confident about it, but yeah, let's get to you. Rich in South Orange, you got it. You're up next.
3 points. Number one, as a Yankee fan, I want to commend you on what I believe you have been towards the Mets. I believe you've been objective and fair. And I don't want you to feel like a homer because I'm a Yankee fan. My first game was in April of '65. And I think you've been really good. I'm the New York fan. So I think your observations about the Mets have been good.
Thank you. Yeah. Go on.
Second point, I want you to know that I appreciate it when you have callers call in that you give them time to converse because some of the other hosts they seem to cut me off after one sentence, and I appreciate that about you. And my last point is I'm a Yankee fan again, and I think I have a suggestion towards the lineup. What I'd like to see Goldschmidt leading off. I'd like to see Dominguez, switch hitter batting second, Judge third, and Rice fourth. And you let me know what you think. Have a good night.
Thanks for the call, Richard, and the compliments. Let's go backwards. So I don't expect them to put Jason Dominguez that high in the lineup. There was conversation in the beginning of the year about potentially leading him off, but he's a whole rookie, a young guy that they are trying to protect, and they've gotten a little bit out of him. Lower in the lineup, he's a threat lower in the lineup with his speed, with his power. I don't expect to see them change what they have. The first 3 that they have, however they, stack it, whether it's Ben Rice, Paul Goldschmidt, Judge, or even like today where they went Rice, Judge, Belly, Goldschmidt. It's tough for any pitcher. We saw them go Rice, Goldie, Judge. We saw them go Goldie, Rice, Judge. I think those are fine. Jason Dominguez has to do a little bit more before he moves that many spots up the lineup, in my opinion. Volpe is struggling right now. And I think about how in his first couple years, they moved him around and they've learned they're not doing that now. They're leaving him there. And if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Like today was a down day as far as the Yankees only having 5 hits, 1 run, but they'll bounce back tomorrow. I don't really think we need to move anything with the lineup for the most part. Jazz is going to end up, appealing his suspension, but I don't know when he's going to get suspended. He's been struggling right now. He's hitting 160. I think, they could stand to move him down in the lineup. Like if you were going to move Dominguez, it's not to the 2 spot. It would be to like 5 or 6 or 7. Maybe even put Grisham a little higher. Going back to what you said about the calls, the daytime is different than the nighttime. And, I listen all day like you guys do too. And I feel like they're rushed. They're hurried in the daytime. And again, going back to what I was saying about being a solo host, I'm not bouncing off of anybody else like in here. I have the freedom to talk about what I want. I have as much run as I need. And then I go to the phone and I give you guys your run as well, because you're calling and you're waiting and I see you there and you're up in the middle of the night and you want to be on the fan. And like, I know when I was younger, the couple of times I tried to call a fan, I never got on. And it's like, if you get the opportunity to do that, it's exciting and everybody can hear you. And I'm not going to be the guy to rush you off. I don't think I'm better than you. I don't think I know anything more than you. It's a back and forth. But as far as the daytime, the amount of ads and breaks, as well as just airspace for 2 hosts, yeah, that's why they might cut you off or rush you. And I know I laugh because I'm like, well, damn, they're always trying to like get you guys to your points. Like, yo, get to it. And that's just, I think that's just historically how it's always been. And I've come in with the approach from the very jump. Like, I'm not rushing anybody off unless you just completely like stumbling over your words, or you're trolling, or you're saying something that doesn't make any sense, or you've got like, bad feedback and a bad signal. And, the first thing you said about being objective and being fair with the Mets, man, I've tried to express this 100 times. And now I just am at the point where like, it doesn't matter what I say or do. I am such a troll online and I have such an internet presence and online persona as like a Mets hater that is good for me online. What I've learned online and on the internet is negativity moves way more than positivity. You know the phrase, you get more bees with honey than vinegar. That doesn't apply online. You get more bees with vinegar than honey online. Like the jokes and the trolling and the mocking and the needling and the negativity works online. And online, I'm very much a Yankee fan and not a Mets fan. And some people get that twisted with the radio. There's times online where I tell people like, is this a radio or is this the internet? And I know I've been that way on the radio too, but I think that's more in the off season. And what I've said is once we get into the baseball season, I'm watching the games. There's nothing to troll. I'm watching the games. There's nothing to not be objective about or be fair about. Like, it's New York. Just like I'm not a Knicks fan. But I'm not going to be a Knicks hater because I'm a Nets fan and be like, Pistons in 4. Like, that doesn't make for a good show. On a night like on a night like tonight and on a day like this, why would I come in here and like have an angle of like the Mets? What the Mets did and what Citi Field looked like was amazing. And even if I, don't like the Mets, and it's not even I don't like the Mets. There's a whole drop that Paulie saved. Like, I don't hate the Mets. These are my Mets. And what that means is I don't like you. You think I hate Francisco Lindor? Hell no. He's one of the best players in the league. He's fun to watch. The Mets have a lot of players I like. Juan Soto, Pete Alonso, Mark Vientos, Luis Angel Acuna. They have pitchers that I'm looking at that I'm impressed with. I don't hate the Mets. These are my Mets. I've never watched more Mets baseball in my life than I have in this last 4 seasons of being on the fan. I know more about this version of the Mets than any other version in the past. I don't know Mets history like that. I wasn't following those Mets teams growing up. But, I get so much heat from Mets fans. I got to kind of return serve online a little bit. So if anything, there's a pocket of Mets fans that I don't like. It's not the Mets, and it's not all Mets fans. You can't lump in all Mets fans, just like you can't lump in all Yankee fans. There's a lot of Yankee fans that I certainly don't claim. There's certain Mets fans like, or the Yankee fans that reached over and grabbed Mookie Betts' glove and did that last year. I saw Yankee fans celebrating them. I'm like, no, those guys need to learn how to act in the stadium. Like, that's not cool. Anyway, it's the same on both sides. Citi Field the first weekend, they're throwing garbage on the field. Nobody should be doing that. They're running on the field. Nobody should be doing that. A couple nights ago, if you booed Juan Soto, I don't know if you really know what you're watching. I think you're like confused. And I've been in Yankee Stadium when there's boo birds, and I'm like, what are you guys booing for? Do you understand how hard it is to hit that baseball? Do you understand you're booing a guy that is one of the like best people to hit that? Like, you're booing Aaron Judge because he struck out 4 times. Like, we need that guy. Can't be doing that. But yeah, if I had to give one blanket statement, I was saying let the games begin. Once the games begin, I want to talk about the games. I don't care for the little brother, big brother. I don't care for all the back and forth and comparing and when we have this and you have that and you can't be this and it, like, once the games start, we can look at the Yankee game and see who pitched and who hit. We can look at the Met game and see who pitched and who hit. And then before you know it, it's the show is over. In the offseason, it gives us more time to look at each other and criticize and joke and laugh and needle one another. And, the whole Juan Soto sweepstakes, like the whole back and forth, who's big brother, little brother. But like, if you're still doing that at this point, you're missing the baseball. This is a sports radio station. You're missing the like bread and butter. You're missing the like whole thing we're supposed to be doing. If you're doing anything else but like talking about Lindor's walk-off homer, talking about David Peterson and Max Kranick and Ryan, like, you know what I'm saying? I don't know. That's a long-winded answer, but that's pretty much answering all parts of that last call. Christian is in Phoenix on the Fan in New York. What's up, Christian?
Yo, Keith, what's up, my brother? How you doing?
Good. Thanks for calling.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I was hoping to catch you before you headed out. So still a little early out here on the West Coast, but great show tonight, man. Love the content, but I wanted to touch on 2 things. So the Knicks and the Mets. So I tagged you in a video on X. It was just like different scenes at Citi Field, and the Lindor home run was really cool. Obviously, like hitting the upper deck, but man, like that crowd, like the electricity. Like I don't remember the last time you see beer in the air, you see popcorn being thrown, or like I know you just talk about dumb trash in the field, but I mean just in that moment, I mean I just like it looked like something out of
a movie.
Yeah, it was absolutely insane. I was like, man, is this October? Like the night game, the chilly weather, it just felt very.
Yeah, but that's why I was saying I can feel it in the air. And what I said was the Mets are restoring the feeling from last year. A walk-off homer from Lindor and the place going crazy like that. He flipped that place upside down. It brings you right back to where they were in the DS and the CS.
Yeah, and I got that October feel like immediately, like just watching that and that video. I was like, I gotta send this to Keith. He has to see this, but it was just one of those cool shots, and it's just fun, man. Just to be in New York, I'm kind of jealous that I'm not out there right now, but just to be in New York, whether you're a Yankee fan or a Mets fan, I mean, what a time to be alive as a baseball fan. And I've always said this: baseball is the most human sport possible. I love football, I love basketball, I like a little bit of hockey, but I mean, there's nothing more human than the sport of baseball, because there's just so much that goes into it. And like you said the other night, each night the ball could tip out the pitcher's hand a little differently. The ball could bounce off the bat differently. Every night, something different can happen. I think that's what makes this sport so beautiful. And people say baseball is dead, but
hell no.
I really think it's making its resurgence, and it's making a big statement just in sports in general. I mean, when you got people talking to you, like no one, I mean, my whole life, I travel anywhere outside the U.S. or anywhere outside of New York, no one ever visits the Mets, right? I wear a Mets hat to my local watering hole down here in Phoenix, and people are like, oh, like, how do you feel about Soto? Oh, like, Lindor had a great year. It's like, what? You talk about the Mets? Like 2,500 miles away? Like, it's just crazy. So this is good to see, baseball is back. Baseball is back. and I'm here for it. I'm here for all games. So, but yeah, as far as Knicks are concerned, I don't know what to feel, man. I'm kind of torn. I don't know, man. I feel the Knicks will win this series. I feel I'm gonna say 6 games like you, but I could also feel how fans or see how fans are feeling as far as like not as confident going into this series against Detroit. Obviously they played us hard all year, and just sort of the way we ended our season doesn't really give us a lot to hang our hat on. But again, I'm a Knicks fan. I've been a Knicks fan my whole life. So been through the ups, been through the downs, more downs than ups. So who am I to be unappreciative of the fact that we're in the playoffs? So yeah, I'm just excited. I'm just excited. Just overall, it's a good time to be a New York sports fan, for sure.
It's time to believe. And hey, maybe you catch the Mets when they come out there to play the Diamondbacks, and maybe both teams will still be balling out.
Yeah, I will. I'll be there. I got the company suite out here for the game. So
nice.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm taking a client. He's never been to a baseball game in his life. I'm like, well, we won't be talking that much. So I'll be focused on the game, but enjoy all the free beverages and food and hot food here. So, but it's gonna be fun, man. I'm excited. I'm excited for that. I always try to catch him when he come out here for their 3 or 4 game series. But yeah, man, it was a pleasure talking to you, Steve, man. Great show, and I'll be tapping in again probably next week or something.
Christian, I appreciate it, bro. So yeah, I was referencing the video that Christian tagged me in online where I was like, there's a fan running on top of the dugout, people throwing stuff, people high-fiving and hugging. And I think Salicata put out a tweet. Let me pull it up so I don't read it verbatim. But I saw this after I opened and said what I said. Sal wrote, April has an October feel at Citi Field for the first time in its existence. Now I can't go that far. I don't know. He's speaking from his own experience in there. But what I said was the Mets are restoring the feeling. And that's hard to do. To restore the feeling that you had in their postseason run last year, it's not a guarantee. The team is different. It has some of the core pieces, but the team is different from last year. You add Juan Soto to this team. It is difficult to restore the feeling right away, but they're 7-1. It's their second walk-off, and fans are showing up to support them like Steve Cohen asked for. And it makes you imagine another run and this team being good. And that's why I started the show too, saying the Mets are good. We can go ahead and say they're a good team. They've won almost twice as many games as they've lost. They're in first place. We can go ahead and say it. It's not crazy to get ahead of they have the second highest payroll in baseball. They're supposed to be good. They have superstar talent, right? The runner-up to the National League MVP just walked off the called game for them. Like that. This is what it's supposed to be in New York. And with the Knicks, there's this nervous energy you should have before the playoffs. It's good. It's good. There's this nervous energy you should have before you enter a series that if you don't exit that series with the most wins, your season is done. And that's why it is euphoric when they win. That's why you are even more hype when they make plays. Like playoff basketball has another level to it. And the Knicks weren't going to the playoffs for years, not consistently. So I don't know. I would lock in. I would believe. There's no reason not to believe in your team when you get this far. You want them to make a run. And especially with the thoughts of they're going to meet the Celtics and there's no way they could beat the Celtics. Well, then why not enjoy this first round? Why not completely go in and believe that they can win every game that they play against the Pistons and the Pistons can't rock with the Knicks? I think there's enough out there if you want to believe that. Now on the other side with the hockey, the Devils and the Hurricanes, obviously the Rangers and Islanders aren't in. Sunday, tomorrow, the Devils will go down to Carolina and face the Hurricanes at 3. I don't know how to feel because I feel like the Devils have limped in to this. I feel like once the Devils clinched, which wasn't even on their own merit, it was kind of like, oh, well, we know who we're facing, we're in. And all you'll hear from people is that they don't have Jack Hughes. Dougie Hamilton is back. I believe in Timo Meier. I believe in Jesper Bratt. I believe in Nico Hischier. I believe in the guys they have on defense and Jacob Markstrom in the goal. It's Stanley Cup playoffs time, and they say that's the best hockey out there. So I'm hoping that the Devils can make it a contest. They'll play Sunday and Tuesday down in Carolina. And then Friday, they'll be home in Newark. And then Sunday, they'll be home in Newark. And I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to swing that. I would love to go. I've never been to a Devils playoff game, and I'm sure I could make the call to get in there. But Friday is Yankee Stadium. The Yankees return, and it's the hockey jersey night. I'm planning on going there. And then Sunday, the game starts at 3, and I may be on the Fan Sunday. We'll see. I would love to go see one of those games potentially. And I say that to say this: you can go see these hockey games, right? If you're just a hockey fan and you want to take the train, which the PAT train runs right over there to Newark to Prudential Center. I was reading, let's see, at the time of publication, the lowest price that we could find, this is coming from the New York Post, the lowest price we could find on tickets for any one game at Newark's Prudential Center was $63 before fees on Vivid Seats. And if you want to go all the way down to Raleigh, $67. So for playoff hockey, Hurricanes, Devs, you can get in there for under $100. If you're just a hockey fan and you want to go see some, high level puck, they're affordable. All right, we're already at 1:30. I see my guy Mark in California, who's a consistent caller, Sean in Stony Point. We will get to you guys next in that order. Keith McPherson on the Fan. This is my last run coming up, so let's take this break. Last call for calls. Dial 888-808-1019 if you'd like to talk to me. Don't go anywhere. We're coming right back. DraftKings finna take the sponsorship away. What is this? Today only bet Josh Hart 5 threes and 30 points on BetMGM, the sportsbook powered by Vegas. Wait, is that a real thing? Today only bet Josh Hart 5 threes and 30 points on it. I don't have that. And I think this guy's trolling from the caller who said he was gonna bet on Josh Hart to have 30 points. It's not happening. Let's see. My man said Cunningham, Nottingham, green eggs and ham, Knicks in 5. Exactly. I'm doubling Cunningham. Beasley, Thompson, Hardaway, Schroeder and them, they got to beat me. For real. I watched the Knicks pitch in matchup for overtime's sake. It's not Oakley more, but yeah, it's going to be good, though. I'm trying to watch all of these games. I know I'm going to be on daddy duty tomorrow, though. I'm trying to see all these games and the hockey games, as many of them as I can watch. Let's see. The games start tomorrow at what time? NBA. The first game tomorrow is at 1 o'clock. Thinking about calling in for a third consecutive night. Holla at me, man. It's the last call for calls. Never called in before. Which one is it? Jay, I thought you called. And I see you got the profile pic. You said, I'm thinking about calling in for a third consecutive. Never called in before. Before you started calling now. I think with me talking about doing the chat, I remember you calling. Last time I called in, the producer got confused and didn't believe where I was from, and that Keith knew. Yeah. They don't get it. I'm like, I am an internet guy. I am a social media guy. I was doing that before I was doing this. And so now my social media presence and following is pulling those people into my radio show. So like, I do get national calls. If you're into this station, you tune in to hear the host guide the fanatics and hear all the reactions. Exactly. Like, the hosts are supposed to be knowledgeable and rational, and fans are supposed to call in and say anything, and we're supposed to kind of reel them back in. But yeah, this is my last run right here. And then I got to go home and go to sleep because the boy wake up at 7 a.m. And on the weekend, once baby boy is up, everybody is up, and I'll get up and start doing what I got to do. And then I'll just take a nap when he naps. Push-up check. I can't do no push-ups, man. Today was bicep and triceps. I did chest 2 days ago. I've stopped doing the push-ups so much in between because I'm working in between. I'm doing the chat. I'm looking up stuff. I've been listening to WFAN since day one when Bill Mazer was on at lunchtime. Mike and Chris, Iron Eagle, Jody Mack, and of course, Captain Midnight, a.k.a. Steve Summers. It's been a great journey in life. A lot of talented people have come through here. It is not lost on me. Devils first round exit, most likely. Just make it competitive. Got to get that hockey jersey. The Devils gave me a jersey. That's the only one I own, I think. Oh, you're talking about the Yankees jersey. Yeah, I got the one last year. I'll be there to get this one too. The fan is AA from regular life. Athletic. Sure. Nice to see Maple Leafs first round exit too. Perhaps. You know, that puck can bounce any way too, and it depends on what goalies stand on their heads. I was at the game today. Lindor crushed that game winner. Yeah, it was cold as hell. That was cold-blooded. I need OG to be key in playoffs. Yeah, he's going to earn his contract for sure. He has to. He absolutely has to earn that contract. All right, here we go. It's the last run here. Last 20 minutes here. Okay, it's my last 20 minutes on the fan tonight. 888-808-1019. Keith McPherson, your nighttime host, just talking the talk. Jack, do you know if it's Hoff coming up next? Or is it Al? I don't know. I got to check the schedule. Okay, Hoff is still, yeah, because it's Friday. Hoff is still doing his Friday show. I think Al will have tomorrow night. Like the Knicks. Yeah, he's on after the Yankee game, and he'll be on during the Knicks game, or at least the end of the Knicks game. So that'll be interesting to get the reaction of the fans after the first one. Okay. You know the number to dial. I said I was going to go to my guy Mark in California first, then Sean, then Devin. So let's go in that order. Last call for calls. What's up, Mark? You got it.
What's going on? Multitude of stuff we got to talk about. You know, I mean, we also got to talk about what Chanel was talking about. Our Kenny Panarin sexual assault allegations is like,
no, we don't got to talk about that.
Yeah, it's so messed up, bro. And like, listen, like, I mean, the dude's a star. He's the best Ranger signing in franchise history, right? It's like, not even close. Dude's about to hit 90 points. I think he's a hat trick away from getting 40 consecutive goals, right? 2 straight seasons. It's crazy. But they need a trade. You're done, dude. Like, this organization is going to clean house with Lavalette and with Drury, who I'm not a big Drury fan, but that's neither here or there. That's happening. I had no idea Sal Licata, who I'm not going to bash him on your show because I'm not a big fan of him at all. But he came out and I'm just like, dude, you're talking so much smack about Soto, bro. And I'm getting so sick and tired of it already. Like I saw a meme on Twitter feeds about like how supposedly he misses Yankee fans and stuff, and like Judge doesn't miss him because he's batting 381. I was like, dude, what the heck, bro? And it was coming from a Yankee fan. I'm like, dude, you guys just can't keep Soto's name out of your guys' mouth, bro.
It is the Soto leaving the Yankees, going to the Mets is such a big cog in this whole machine. It is overplayed and annoying. Shout out to Sal. Like I said about Sal. Sal is a fan. He's also a professional. He says a lot of things, but he gets clipped, and these clips go viral almost. So that's successful to be able to, have a clip of you screaming about something that gets viewed by thousands of people.
5. Yeah, he was over 5, and Sal was freaking out about being over 5, and then a whole bunch of fans on Twitter were.
But again, the Soto struggle is temporary, and like people have blown things out of proportion with the guy. Andy Martino weeks ago said he got a report that Juan Soto missed the Yankees. I'm like, I'll believe it when I hear the audio. And then obviously Mike Puma talked to him, and he said, well, it was different when I had the best hitter in the world behind me. And that got blown up. And on top of him grounding out and striking out and not coming in with coming up big with runners in scoring position, it's not a good look. But you know what is a good look? The Mets finding ways to win despite that.
They got a great team. They're going to win 90, 95 games. Yankees are going to win 80, 90 games as well. But and us Yankee fans have seen it for years. Judge struggles. Judge right now should be batting like 230, right? It's like he's batting like 230, and he's not. He's hitting, so he's very slow at hitting in the start of the season. So we're used to that. And Yankee fans even kill Judge, and it's crazy. You're going to kill him.
I remember last year. I was in the stadium last year against the Tigers when he got ejected. And then the next day, I'm like, okay, he's going to homer because he got ejected on some nonsense. But fans were ready to – I'm like, this is the captain. This is the MVP, the AL home run king. You guys are crazy, but it's a Bronx cheer for a reason.
Yeah, he's the best hitter we've ever seen in the history of the game. It's not even close. But what's crazy about it last season, and remember when he just hit his last homer, he did homer for 10 straight games, bro. And no one was talking about it, but in those 10 games, he got 7 ribbies. So he's contributing.
Yeah, and he was hitting singles, and his average was up. He was batting 400.
That's it, But there was last season where I remember where he went like 16 games without a homer. And then literally in like 20 games, he hit like 13 jacks.
Bro, they blamed the show Paw Patrol. My son watches that. And at that time, my son wasn't watching that type of stuff. They called it the Paw Patrol curse because Judge popped up in an episode of a show for toddlers. And once that went live, Judge didn't homer for, like you said, like the 16 games in the summer. And people were like, it's because of Paw Patrol. It's a Paw Patrol curse. I'm like, these are fans. And fan is short for fanatics. They are fanatical. It is ridiculous.
Or people are going absolutely crazy. And then the one year, I think the year, what was it? I think 2 years ago, he hit like 40-something, but he missed like almost like half the game. So I'm like, could you imagine if he would have played the full game, he would have hit 60 again, or at least 50.
That's just who he is. Yeah, I was at the game that year where he hit 3 in one game. And we just were like, this guy hits homers and just hits at a ridiculous pace. He's 101.
And the more the Yankees get to the playoffs, it's gonna happen, bro. He's gonna get his in the playoffs. Trust me. It's like, you know what I mean? Everyone's grilling him for like not having that great postseason resume and not hitting the playoffs. I can name a bunch of players that haven't hit the playoffs and still are in the Hall of Fame. It's like there's a bunch of players like that, but it contributes to their legacy. Obviously, Jeter did very well in the playoffs, but still, his defense is elite. He's hitting the ball. It's gonna work out. But these Knicks, man, before I let you go, these Knicks are crazy. And here's the thing, Keith. For all these Knicks fans, you're going to hear it from me because I'm the biggest Knicks fan you'll ever meet in your entire life, like Jack Nicholson, man, like the Lakers. I'm going crazy, right? Like Jack's the biggest Lakers fan, I'm the biggest Knicks fan. They need to blow these dudes out. They should blow these guys out. They should blow them out. It shouldn't be close. And if it is close, it's all on tips, bro. It's all on tips because this roster is leaps and bounds better than Detroit. It really is. Like, the only thing that's better on Detroit is their bench. That's it. But you're not going to – I'm hearing on Twitter, people are like, well, you need to put Brunson on Cade. Cade will destroy Brunson. You see how big he is?
Yeah.
Guard Cade? It doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make any sense. Like, Cade is a monster. He's got the size advantage by a lot.
Absolutely. Mikal Bridges gets destroyed when, obviously – Cade guards him.
It's OG. It's OG you got to put on him.
What? We haven't seen OG on him. The 2 games they won, it was without OG, and they only won by 6 points. And then the other game was without Carl. So obviously, it could be 3-1 Knicks. But this team leaps and bounds, bro. It's obviously better. You got Mitchell healthy. You're going to see the 2 big rotation. You're going to see Jalen Duran and Karl Anthony Towns. You know what I mean? Isaiah Stewart, he's a guy that kind of scrappy. I can care less about Malik Beasley. He's going to get his, whatever. But it should be a blowout, dude. It really shouldn't be close, in my opinion. I mean, you got Cade, I get it. But everyone's comparing these Knicks when they played Atlanta Because remember, everyone was like, Knicks are going to destroy Atlanta, and then Trey just took over. Everyone's saying Tate do the same thing, but come on, you got Brunson, though. So a little different, bro. We didn't have them back then. We had Julius Randle, who shot like 30%.
Yeah, you also didn't have Karl Anthony Towns. You didn't have OG. Like, they're going to score. I don't know if they're going to blow them out, Mark, but they're going to score a lot of points. Thanks for the call. 888-808-1019. The over-under is set at 220. I'm taking the over. So when you talk about Jalen Brunson guarding Cade Cunningham, I don't know who's talking about put Jalen Brunson on Cade Cunningham. That's barbecue chicken. I'm sending two guys at Cunningham a lot. And then OG at him, not the whole time, because you want to kind of keep OG down low too. You know, you put OG on the ball, that changes things. But like, I look at this Knicks team and their ability to score. They have to be efficient and they have to hit shots and they have to outscore them. They have so many guys that can score the ball and like dominant scorers in Brunson, in Karl Anthony Towns. And we saw OG when called upon to score. He's got to have some of that in his game too. Mikal Bridges has to have that mid-range jumper and knocking down corner threes along with OG knocking down corner threes in his game too. And Josh Hart, if they leave you wide open, you got to knock down some shots, some layups. But also, you got to be there as a secondary passer, right? They pass you the ball, look for the open man. Somebody's going to be open. 888-808-1019. Sean in Stony Point, thanks for holding. You're live.
Jeez, what's up, man? How you been?
I'm good.
So you were talking about like soda and the struggle at the start of the season, right? And I had a realization a couple of days ago. People who talk like that and like the throwing the garbage and all this, they're baseball fans, but they're so far removed from the game of playing baseball that they lost respect for the game.
Yeah, or maybe they never played, or maybe they really just don't get it. They're looking at it like they've looked at other sports, and I hear this a lot. Like, how football, there's 17 games, and it's so immediate and do or die. Like, baseball is just not like that. Go on.
And so like it transitioned to a new team. Like, give them a second.
Yeah, how about the Mets fans booing on soda?
It just sounds dumb. I just like if you are. Like, I don't know exactly. They cheered him tonight, and it worked. Even I was reading the article. Lindor was talking about the crowd embracing Soto. I love that. He's going to be with us for a very long time. He's a fantastic player. Yada yada yada. They booed Lindor too. A lot of Mets fans were talking about Lindor's contract.
Well, not even New York, Philly, Boston. They'll boo. It's just,
I said earlier in the show, we make so much about boos.
That they're blue because, like, you're not even close to that field. You can't even lace their cleats up,
Yeah, you just have no idea what it takes to hit that ball, to catch that ball, to be out there. These guys are a small percentage of the population that can do this on a night-to-night basis.
And on that level, yeah, dearest, you could pump a ball, yeah, sure. But I still play. That's why I can still talk. I won 2 back-to-back championships with my men's league. So
count it, bro. Count it, bro. At least you can relate. Like, so you're not going there booing because it's hard to do.
Yeah. So I got some cool stories for you. My coach in high school, he came up to the minors, and you were talking earlier about like you don't know like the old school Mets and like those things. There was a guy that met Ty Wigginton. He came up with him through the minors on the Red Sox. And he said, like, this guy would map out parks at the games because he couldn't stay in hotels. He had to sleep in parks. And he made some majors. And then he said another time he was down in Dominican, the Red Sox minor league team played a series down there. So they went out and they were with Poppy, but someone like, they're in Dominican Republic and someone comes up on them, try to rob them. And Poppy just lifted his shirt a little bit, showed something, and they were like, okay. And that was this was when Poppy was in the minors with the Red Sox.
Yeah. And we all remember when Ortiz got shot, and he survived that. I actually was in the club with Ortiz and Albert Pujols during the All-Star game in LA in 2022, 2023. Yeah, it was 20. So they had a party in LA was one of the best spots to have the All-Star game. They had a party at this club. They had bottle service. I knew some people in there to get through the door. The next thing you know, I weaseled my way into their section. I had a video on my Instagram story, all that. Albert Pujols wasn't drinking or doing anything, but Poppy is the man. Like, Poppy's table had bottles and a lot of randoms, and yeah, it was cool. It's cool to see guys like that you've watched play forever in that like environment. Like, it just breaks the wall down completely for you.
I have some cool stories about Paul Pierce and my buddy.
Paul Pierce is a wild boy. That's why they call him the truth. Thanks for the call, Sean. 888-808-1019. Yeah, that's another thing too with these players. They work so hard to get out of the minor leagues, and they work so hard to get up to the level where they're making the money. And then they're greeted with just skepticism and negativity and boos. And I guess that's why they say that, they pay them the big bucks. They got to be big boys. They got to deal with it. But it's like, man, you make it to the show after, riding buses and sleeping in hotels and struggling and playing in front of nobody. Then when you finally do get in front of a lot of people, they're expecting you to be automatic all the time. You get booed. It's crazy. I could not imagine being a professional athlete. I wasn't that good. I got a ton of respect for these guys. I know how hard it is. I really don't know how hard it is. I can only imagine how hard it is to be great like that on a consistent basis. That's why someone like Juan Soto, I'm like, this whole week, I'm like, I'm laughing at this, not for nothing. Like, he's struggling for now. I'm loving it as a Yankee fan because he left us to go across town, but I just know it's not going to last. I know it's not going to last. And I know you're absolutely crazy if you're like, you can't police fans, but I think you're crazy if you go to the stadium and you're booing a guy like Juan Soto because he's striking. Like, this guy, he's in the first 20 games of a 15-year career. You call yourself a Met fan? Yeah, you call yourself a Met fan jumping the gun that fast? Like this guy is going to help your team win for the next decade and a half. Like, if you're a 25-year-old Met fan, this guy's going to help you have good times until you're 40. I didn't even know that. Like, I didn't know that was your age.
When he basically, his contract is up, so it's crazy. No, I can't stand that booing Juan Soto. Like, all right, I get it. We signed him to a huge contract, $800 million. You want him to have success right away, but come on, his first 20 games.
What does that do?
I mean, it does nothing. Like, booing him, like, okay, it's going to give him confidence to keep coming to Citi Field.
And some people think it's reverse psychology. Like, I had a caller that was out in Sacramento who said, I'm going to wear my Juan Soto jersey to the game, and I'm going to boo him and hope to, like, get under his skin to motivate him. And I'm like, nah, I'm like, hey, do what you got to do. But he's not looking right now like he needs that. Like he looks like he's in a bad one right now, and he's pressing, and he's not shuffling, and he's not doing their little, hit celebration, and he's not even cracking a smile. Baseball's supposed to be fun.
No, I think what his teammates are doing, like Lindor and Mendoza, obviously the manager, is like, look, like, just be you, keep doing what you're doing, keep, like, you're a great player, you're awesome talent, like, just relax and have fun playing baseball. And I think that's helping him. But yeah, positive reinforcement. He gets cheered, he's gonna respond. You boo him, like, he's a human being. He's not like.
And he's when it does warm up and he does get going, he's going to win games for them on his own. And he's not going to be looking at the fans like, well, cheer me now. You know what else I said about the Mets, and this will lead us into Devin's call. I'm like, with Soto getting all of they're winning. They're not losing. But with Soto, getting all of the attention and the negativity, I think it helped guys like Mark Vientos, because Mark Vientos was struggling. And Brett Beatty, I'm like, look at these two guys get unlocked, and they could kind of stew in their, negative performance and not get all of the shrapnel. And like, everybody's always looking for a whipping boy, no matter who it is. There's somebody, even the Yankee fans got to feel, Devin Williams, demote him. Like, they got to find somebody to be mad at. But Juan Soto being the highest paid player and the highest profile player and struggling, I think it took some of the attention off of Vientos and Beatty. And now it looks like those two guys are unlocked. Let's go to Devin in Long Beach on the Fan. Go for it, Devin.
What's up? How you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm loving this narrative. It's so pathetic to show up to the ballpark and just throw out boos and just rip on these guys. I mean,
LGM, I got it tattooed on me, and I'm thinking about how I remember Lindor, in the middle, or just before he busted out last year. I think it was like trending, like when the Mets come back from this road trip, we gotta give Lindor a stand today for Soto. And I mean, how amazing is it that we have him, and freaking Diaz, especially the bullpen. Like, we cannot. New York is the freaking toughest market for anyone to be in, and you certainly you gotta have it to be here. But as fans, we don't have to make it any more difficult. And in fact, the way that we run into these stadiums, the way that the Garden fills up, and New York Knicks fans travel and Mets fans travel, God, like, imagine if we just had brought the power of positivity with those guys. But even the infield, I'd say the infield is like one of the only things I've seen this year so far, and I'm not even going to pick on it too much because I know what we have in Lindor, Jr., and all those guys. But
yeah, a couple errors from Lindor were costly, but you know that he's going to be Gold Glove MVP, and he just won a game for you tonight. Thanks for the call, Devin. Yeah, it's funny, right? What a week. All of the talk, and it doesn't matter. Juan Soto probably hit a homer in this next game, and hopefully this will all be behind us. But, that's how we are here in New York, right? We eat our own. Hopefully you guys aren't in there booing the Knicks if they struggle later on tonight. All right, Met fans, here comes Big Show Bob. I saw Pete Hoffman on the screen at Citi Field. I saw him on SNY. Yup, it wasn't Sean Morash. Coming your way next is Pete Hoffman on the Fan. Keep it locked right here. Everybody have a good night. Good night. Sports Radio. All right, I got to go home and go to sleep, y'all. Appreciate y'all, man, for real. Appreciate y'all rocking with me. Look, 1,400 people watching. Let's see. Oh, like Beningo and those cats? That's called a Comrex system. I'm one of the only people here that does every single show live. I've never done a remote show. All of them have Comrex systems because during COVID, they had to do shows remote. I came in 2021 right after COVID. I've never done a show from my apartment. But I have a setup there. I do need to start doing some stuff. I think I'm going to do some like watch-alongs, like watch some games. So how many teams would love to have Lindor? Every team. How long is the commute? I live in Jersey City, Hoboken. Right now with traffic, probably like 25 minutes. It just sucks because you can't go through the Holland Tunnel. You got to go up through the Lincoln Tunnel. All right. I'll be back Monday. Appreciate y'all. Have a good one.